Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of Abrea Before the Campaign. I'm John. That's Rich. He's our DM. This is our whole team. He'll introduce them in a minute. But I just want to get a couple things out of the way. If you want to watch everything from the beginning, you can go to YouTube. We here at TPK Games. God damn it, I can never say that right. We're trying to play lots of fun role-playing games for you guys to watch, and this is the second show we've launched, which is Abrea, which is a prequel show to the first show we launched, which is the campaign, and it all takes place in Abrea, named after Rich's favorite world that he himself created, which is why it's his favorite. But if you want to see everything from the beginning, go to YouTube, subscribe there. The more subscribers we get, the more we can customize the YouTube archives. But until that point, please follow us and subscribe here on Twitch. I'm all out of sorts, guys. I'm just going to hand it over to Rich. Rich, take it away.
It's cool, John. I'm sure by next year, we'll get the name of the channel down. Yeah, exactly. I try my best. Believe me, I stumble on so many things all night. No harm, no foul. How is everybody? I missed you guys.
Yay. Good. Yeah,
good.
Yeah, woo.
We got Curt Clark back tonight after his wild adventures in Boston 2 weeks ago. So why don't we start with you, Curt? How you doing, man?
Doing well. Gheddar has been busy taking inventory of the ship, and missed out on the adventures last night, but has a very good idea exactly how much food we have.
That's true. Priorities. It's all about perspective, folks. It's where you're coming from, right? Alex Donsky, what's up, man? How are you?
What's up? Oh, I'm good, man. Great. Happy to be playing one of my favorite characters of all time. Happy to be back with this great, creative, funny group again. Yeah, other than that, man, just been working like a dog and trying to watch as many cool TV shows as there are out there, but there's just too many.
There's a lot.
What are you watching? What should I be watching that I'm not?
Bro, Legion, if you haven't checked out Legion.
Oh, yes.
Into the Badlands is back. Westworld is back. I mean, there's a kind of like my three main squeezes at the moment.
I'm going to just throw a plug out there. I used to work for a company called Nerdrotic. It's the Nerdrotic channel on YouTube. They actually cover all of those shows except for Into the Badlands. I no longer do podcasting with them, but they're awesome. So check that out if you watch those shows, especially in the Westworld stuff. It's Nerdrotic. Anyway, it's nerdrotic.com for the website, and you can follow it from there. But their YouTube channel is doing pretty well, and yeah, especially the stuff where it's conspiracy theorizing. It's like you're in the comic shop with your friends talking about crazy shit that's happening on TV. So if you're like Alex and are watching Legion and stuff, go on over to Nerdrotic. Check it out. Anyway, sorry, I just wanted to plug my old peeps.
Yeah, your cohorts. It's good, man. Mad love. I am a huge fan of Legion and Westworld, and so we have a new game in the works, a Mage Academy. We're going to be playing some Mage the Ascension soon, and certainly I think a little bit of Legion might touch in on that, and even a little bit of Westworld for that matter. Much to Jean's chagrin, but excellent.
It's hilarious because I'll be playing the very kind of Legion-esque character with his mind palace and stuff in Mage, but that's the one show that I'm like, why can't they just do a real X-Men show and then do this crazy shit? Can they give us something just normal before they go all fucking Legion crazy on us? Come on.
Oh, but it's so good.
It's so good. It's crap, man.
Noah Hawley should be in charge of everything that Fox ever does. That's all I'm going to say. But anyway.
As if we don't have enough of the X-Men movies out to indulge.
That hurts me. It hurts me. Let's not talk too much about the X-Men movies.
Okay. We're past it.
On the heels of the cherished Infinity War, of which we will not speak any spoilers, for not everyone is gone yet. The X-Men movies make me sad, but it doesn't make me sad. You guys, like Gabe, how are you doing tonight, Gabe?
I'm feeling much better now that we seem to have aligned on our sentiments about the X-Men.
Good. Yes. Wolverine on the plate. Yeah.
It's going good. Been working a lot of fun, great work. Looking forward to BlizzCon coming up first weekend in November. Basically, though, kind of looking forward to this, that it's only not bi-weekly, that's the wrong word, but every other week or whatever. I find myself itching on the off Tuesdays of why am I not feeling my Skamos on, So I'm so happy and stoked to be here on this Tuesday with you, rapscallions, to get the action on.
Rapscallions is among my all-time favorite words and is the perfect label, though we don't like labels, but we're going to put that label on you, Rapscallions, because it's perfect.
You said Skamos, but I heard Stamos, and I'm like, what does Full House have to do?
Curt found the secret meaning, the metaphor that Havoc is. It's so great. Awesome. Alan Ward, how are you doing, man?
What it do? I'm doing good. I started streaming again. It's gonna be mostly weekends. Kind of late, not too late. But yeah, had a couple of good PUBGs and looking for some more games. I just picked up one that I think I'm gonna stream. It's pretty fun.
Awesome. New map on PUBG this weekend, right?
Is it this weekend? I haven't.
Yes.
I just got back into the PUBG thing, so
get on it, man. Get on.
I got 2 chicken dinners in a row yesterday.
Oh, see, I'm not surprised. This kid is good. You guys should go watch him when he's streaming. It's CPT_emo.
See, you're not the only one.
No, you're not. You certainly are.
It's all these letters.
It is stupid alphabet. Anyway. And so, John, you feeling a little better now that we've all fumbled through a bunch of words?
Yes, thank God. I'm not the only
Good.
one.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, I too always itch for the game. The whole every other week thing, it really does like hype me up and get me excited to like come back to each individual group. Like, okay, here we go. I can't wait. I wonder. And I like that it leaves you guys thinking in the interim. But so on that note, unless you guys have any questions, I always like to ask.
I only have answers.
Only answers.
And his answer is a sword.
Here has one answer, and it is sword. Excellent. So, where we left our rapscallions last week, you all had taken the Widdowmaker, the ship of the infamous Captain Frostblood of the Cold Star Coast, and so, after seizing it from him and showing mercy to 3 of the belligerent crew, who you essentially beat into submission very efficiently, they joined you, pulling up anchor, and with enchanted gusts of wind summoned by the small gnome Gimble Stonecloak, you guys sped out of port. And so that first night was a breakneck, hectic evening as you tried to repair the many cut lines in the rigging and master the steering of this large craft with a skeleton crew, half of whom are true landlubbers. And so, after sleeping for the night in the inhospitable accommodations below decks, young Gimble, the gnomish druid from Aram's fortress beneath the waves, met a visitor. An owl alighted on the deck of the ship and transformed into a half-elven man, a man named Sendok, a druid of the Bree tribes, of the White Bear tribe in particular, one of the local tribes here in the Cold Star Coast. And he somehow had news of the taking of the ship and the falling of Captain Frostblood into the sea at the Port Herod. And he besought you for aid. His people were under attack. A hydra had come up from out of the ocean and assaulted a small party of seal hunters that were out on local island. And so was the Gimble, compelled by the words of his brother, and I think just by the opportunity for adventure and bloodshed, led the rest of you to go assist these White Bear Bree. And that was when Valerian gained his new title of Hydra Slayer. Blows, he took 4 heads from the beast, and it fell swiftly thereafter. And so, with great exultation and celebration, and many honors bestowed upon you by the White Bear Bree, Gimble and Havoc decided to steal some of these people's cargo that floated as flotsam in the sea, getting themselves a massive crate of some kind of potato vodka. We think it is, because Gheddar, unfortunately, stayed behind on the ship for all of these hijinks, doing a thorough inventory of all the carbs within, and ensuring that these three fools from Frostblood's crew did not try to steal your ship. And so in the drinking and celebration thereafter, as the body of the Hydra still bled into the cold ground on this small island where the white bear were, Sendok the Druid offered you guys a bargain. As Havoc talked about his desire to look for larger scores, vast sums of treasure and gold, Sendok mentioned the existence of one of the great creatures of Abrea, a bird with a 200-foot wingspan, a massive ancient creature called a rock. And the mere mention of this creature and the worth of its carcass to all of you was enough to get you back onto your ship and sailing south quickly. And after some clever tactics from your druid and some daring maneuvers from the rest of you maniacs, very, very well-placed Curt from Havoc Skamos himself, which rendered this terrible rock unable to assault you all, a great battle was fought in the sky, while three giant eagles circled, and you all leapt to and fro and drove this creature into the ground in quite an impressive display. And so, Gheddar, you stood on the deck of the Widdowmaker about a mile offshore of this island that you had sailed to, about half a day's travel south from where you met the Bree. And you could see this ruined, kind of broken dock at the foot of these vast cliffs that towered over the gray water of the Cold Star Coast. And at the top of this cliff, a massive, massive bird with red plumage. And you watched the aerial acrobatics of your new companions, and you couldn't help but be impressed that none of these morons fell hundreds of feet to their death below. But in fact, they slew this mighty creature. And after a clever use of a detect magic from your eye patch, you gathered a few trinkets from within the rock's nest, and that is where we left you all, with Gheddar standing on the deck of the ship, Frederick, Suka, and Bones, the three crewmen with you, watching this great display. And the rest of you now on the beach at the foot of this ruined, smashed dock with this cliff towering over you and the massive carcass of rock sprawled out on the sand. So what would you all like to do?
I do believe we did have, we were transporting the eggs to the ship, right?
Correctamundo, the once again, the magic of the druid Gimble conjured an earth elemental which was able to glide easily up and down the stone of this sheer cliff and gather these enormous rock eggs, bringing them down one by one. But the issue that you face now is that you all came out on these giant eagles. The ship is a mile offshore, and you know that the rowboats are such that like you could probably only put one egg in each boat with a rower. And it would be precarious. The eggs don't balance well in boats. Not when they're, the size of ogres, at least.
But they're moved to the shore. So right now we have 5 rock eggs with an earth elemental standing next to them being like, And we've got to figure out how to get those to the boat.
And you can't leave the eggs on the shore with the fox, because the fox will eat the eggs and the boat will... Wrong thing.
You were pretty close. It's actually sea lions, but they look like real tricky sea lions.
Okay.
Never
Mr. Gimbus, is easy for your elemental of earth to is he tall enough to walk through waves? Maybe he can place eggs on ship walking through waves.
From what I learned, I never tried that before, right? But from what I learned, like the water, like the elements, man, the water will like erode the rock form of my elemental over time, and I don't know if he'll get all the way to the boat before he just kind of crumbles into mud.
Your answer disappoints me.
Yeah. But what we could do is I could conjure some floaty animals, and we could tie the eggs to those animals, and then those guys will take it to the boat for us.
I am appreciating this plan much more than the one that you say no.
Hey, Rich, are they so the sand that are they at the top of the cliff, like on a sandy outcome, or they're down at the level?
Yeah, they're at the foot of the cliff. If you were to imagine, if you were to imagine essentially these docks like jutting out into the water off of like the base of a beach, and then a cliff, maybe like 20 or 30 feet in off of like the shoreline, right?
And I saw the rock get defeated.
Yes, sir. You saw essentially Gimble summoned two giant eagles and transformed into one himself, and the three of them flew out on the eagles and like leapt down onto the rock's back, fighting, and yeah, they drove it into the ground.
Does the crew know? Does the skeleton crew, was it Frederick and the other two? Was
Frederick, Suka, and Bones? Do
Frederick, Suka, and Bones? Have I gotten the sense that they would know how to sail a ship?
Yeah, they definitely all know how to sail. Yeah, Suka's been steering.
Well, I think my friends, looks like they defeated that rock. Let's go. Let's sail in and pick them up.
Okay. And so Suka like looks at you like, sir. Absolutely, sir. Okay, yes. And Frederick's like, might get a bit shallow for us to get in too close, don't you think?
We'll find out, won't we?
Stranded here on
the island. It's just like
this was only supposed to be a 3-hour tour.
I have a question. Why can't we just make 5 trips on one boat?
Well, don't these eggs look heavy for the one boat? I mean, I think we risk sinking that one boat.
We can try.
I mean, we have extra life rafts if we sink one.
I
say floaty creatures and also floaty boat.
Yeah, we can do both, right? Like, so I've got a question for the DM. Water walk.
Oops.
Is you have to target a creature, right? And
it's up to 10 creatures, I believe. Is it not?
Up to
Double
10
check.
Creatures, though. Like I can't. Like eggs aren't creatures.
Nope.
Okay.
Can I pick up the eggs?
They're really big, man. They're bigger than you are. They're like large.
Yeah, these things are like boat-sized, right? Like they're as big as the boat we want to put them in.
Yeah, I mean, they're essentially like, they're oblate spheroids, right? So they're sort of like 8 feet in length and about like, 4.5 in diameter.
You're an oblate spheroid.
So I'm going to walk over to the water and I'm going to start like...
I'm just putting this map here for reference.
I'm going to start kind of thinking about... So this is... like as I'm meditating or like kind of going into my zone about what kind of creature I want to summon, I'll be kind of questioning this. So I'll ask you, DM, what I would be going through in my head. What would the challenge rating for the dolphin, like a dolphin-sized creature, be?
Challenge rating for dolphin is probably going to be like 1/2. Let me double check here.
I guess how big is my giant seahorse? Is he big enough to carry one like in the bridge of his tail area, right at the surface?
I don't think so. Let me double check size. I don't think so, because like even if it's large, its tail wouldn't be that big. It is large. In other words, it could pull it behind for sure.
Do they float? Do we know if these eggs float?
I will try. And Valerian goes and grabs one of the eggs and pushes it into the water.
Wait, hang on, if I may.
He's rolling the egg. The egg
test for fresh egg is if egg sinks. So only if eggs are rotten will they float.
Yeah.
Oh, good information.
You're like rolling it into the water and you see it like just kind of like rolling down the water. Now the waves kind of lapping up over like half of it.
All right, I'll go the other way and push it back, roll it back.
Mm-hmm.
Can the giant eagles how big are the giant eagles compared to the egg?
Giant eagles are large again, right? So the issue is like, okay, so they might be big enough and strong enough to pick the egg up, right? But the real problem is that they're
gentle.
Yeah. Like there's no purchase, right? They would pierce the shell.
But we could tie it, like we could make like a
Does
sling.
Does resilient sphere being weightless mean that something inside the sphere is also weightless?
Well, no, but
Okay.
the sphere itself would be like filled with air and would float.
I'd have
Have
to
I-
rest to get it, but
Why do we care so much about these eggs again? I forgot.
Well, yeah, what's the? I mean, I'm
Valerian,
not
do you
there,
like
but
money?
I would love to hear the character's voice. What the plan is once they get them to the ship, because I'm guessing they don't fit down the hold.
I think they would fit in the hold, right?
Oh, they would fit in the hold. Yeah, the
They
hold
fit
opens
down
up
the
big
stairs?
enough.
They're like people.
No, there's like
There's a hatch in the center.
racking
Oh, there's a hatch
that you
in the
could pull
center,
open
okay.
to drop stuff in for cargo.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, let's drop the eggs in. Okay.
no, not drop, set,
Lower,
gently
lower,
set.
lower.
Like, have I crashed the ship yet?
Yeah, to that end, listen, if you want, you have not crashed the ship yet. They're like just cranking up the anchor, right? The three or the four of you, if you help them like crank, they can get it up a little quicker. You're stronger. Frederick's pretty strong, but but yeah, so they're like just getting the anchor up, right? And now like Suka's like running across the deck full tilt to try to like get to the helm, you know, and the rest of them are starting to drop sails.
Being from a coastal town and having a rather high intelligence, I think I'm not going to be sailing the ship all the way there. But I'm thinking, you know,
You can get closer.
I can meet them halfway at least.
Okay.
Yes.
I've got an idea of what. Okay. Hey guys, I don't think the animal thing is gonna work, and I think these eggs are probably gonna sink the boat. So here's what I'm thinking. I'll cast Water Walk on all of us, and then I'll I can control water, and so I can kind of make it push up on the eggs to keep the eggs afloat, and we'll just walk it out to the boat.
I have a question for you, Mr. Gimbus. Is okay maybe for to cast this walk water on your elemental of earth, then he no get muddy and he carry eggs?
I can do. Can I do that? So water breathing. I mean, walk on water. I can cast as a ritual. It'll just take me 10 minutes, and I've got my earth elemental for an hour. So how long has it been so far?
We're gonna say it's been about half an hour for him to like get all the eggs down, and you guys now have been debating as he's like bringing down the last egg. And at this point, you guys can see from like out in the water the sails dropping down on the Widdowmaker, and it's beginning to move slowly and turn in towards you, beginning its journey to like make its way towards you. So let's just double check here. Water walking. I think you can, in fact, cast that on the earth elemental, though this is very strange. And let's see here. Right? I mean, it doesn't have a size restriction. No.
Yeah, I think I can do that.
10 willing creatures. Yeah. 1 hour, not concentration. Yep. Yeah, you're cool.
So we'll
Being
have
that the
20
eggs are
minutes.
technically alive, can you water walk the eggs?
No, I tried.
No,
that.
we went through this.
So, okay, then I'm not going to ritual cast it because we need this half hour. So I'm going to go over to my earth elemental, and I'm going to be like, hey, buddy, we've got half an hour. We need you to get those eggs to that boat, but don't move yet. This may feel weird. I know this is your first time, but, it won't, you'll be okay. You'll get through this, and I'll put
It'll
my
feel
hand-
really good after a few minutes.
It's got really dark. It's just got really dark.
Cast water walk, and I'll be like, now you can get to the boat, man. And I'll be like, see, go ahead, like take an egg, and I'll coax him out into the water.
So the earth elemental is like, and like lifts this massive egg up, holding it like easily cradled in its like huge stony arms. And so the Earth Elemental is an interesting being because it doesn't, have legs or anything like this. It just kind of like glides along the Earth. And so it's a very strange phenomenon as you kind of like, you guys watch it like glide down right until like it hits like the water as it laps up onto the shore. And then he just begins to kind of like surf across the top of the water, like cutting this like wake as he's like moving at 30 feet around, 60 even, as he starts to like. And so Gheddar, Suka is at the wheel, at the helm, cranking in. And so the other guys, Frederick and Bones, Frederick like moving like quickly. He's strong. He was one of
Good job, man.
Guard. Bones is an old man and he's kind of moving much slower, like, well, whatever, like
good effort, man.
You can now like see as you look out off like the prow of the ship, like you're scoping out to make sure there's no like reefs you're about to smash into, and you see this Earth Elemental now like surfing out towards the ship, carrying this enormous egg cradled in its arms as it's coming towards you guys. And you can see like the small figures. Yeah. Yes.
I lean to the side a little bit so that the blue gem in the pommel of my sword gets a clear view of this, and you hear the as it kind of flashes slightly. I'm like, this is odd.
I'll go over to Valerian and I'll be like,
and I'll also give direction to the men to as this is getting closer to like, let's stop, slow stop, slow stop to stop the boat.
Got it.
I will
in the background, since this seems to be rolling along now, whatever knowledge I have about the valuable parts of a rock, I think maybe I would like to start harvesting these parts.
Well, I think, aren't we bringing them back to the
Well, you can't. I mean,
I think he's coming to us, right?
Way too big to put on the ship. You definitely have to like butcher it or do what you will while you're out here. Okay, so what I say to you, Havoc, my friend, do you have knowledge nature? And roll a nature check. A knowledge
I want
nature
to give
check.
him a hand, but I don't know if I have nature.
I thought that Gimble's friend like said, if you guys do manage to like do this, give me a call, because Valerian had brought up the issue of like, we have no way to transport this shit. So
yes, he did. Sendok the druid, right? He was like the guy with the Bree tribe that you went and helped. He told you like explicitly, look, after you guys, if you succeed at this, then like send word to me. Yeah, we will like meet up. He told you that he knew, first of all, like where you could go to find a good market for it. And second of all, that you guys would have hospitality with his people because you saved them from a Hydra.
Do you think he's more than 120 feet away?
Gimble, maybe you should contact your druid friend and tell him we have done the deed.
I don't know how. But I'll think on that for a second. You might be strong enough to carry an egg yourself, Valerian. Why are you just standing here, man?
Damn!
I'm still trying to understand what we will do with these eggs.
Well, we're going to try to sell them or maybe eat them, or maybe we'll hatch one and then we'll have a pet rock. I like pets. Do you like red pets?
That sounds awesome. I'll go try and do a strength check to pick up one of the eggs.
Yeah, make an athletics check.
Okay.
It's really like awkward, right? It's just like you can't squeeze it, and you're strong enough to like pick it up. It's not so much the weight as it is the strangeness of it. But so you like get down under it and like get your arms and start like do the weird like balancing thing and get it up and kind of like rest it on the crook of your neck over your shoulder and are holding like this thing. You're very like Atlas looking with this giant rock egg crooked up on your neck. And you can begin like slowly at like half your movement speed. You're like walking out onto like the water with this thing, making your way back towards the ship, which you Gheddar now can see Valerian like like bent over and all like weird angled, like walking out onto the water behind this earth elemental with a second of these massive eggs.
Yeah, let's drop anchor and let's figure what they've got a plan.
These fools have been piloting the boat excellently. Suka steering nimbly, cutting the way in, and so yeah, they then like begin to like they're like, wait, seriously? I thought. All right. Yeah, they like begin to like pull the masts in a bit and like pull the sails up, and so the Suka like now runs back across the entire deck to like where the anchor is, and pulls the lever, and the chain like begins to snake out of the wheel as it drops down to the ocean floor.
Thank you, gentlemen. I realize it was a lot of work for not much movement, but it's very much appreciated.
Tsuka's like, sir, yeah, absolutely. It was my pleasure. I'm getting much better. I can't tell you how grateful I am for this opportunity, sir.
Dude, calm down.
Sorry, I'm trying. And so yes, at this point the earth elemental has made it to the side of the ship, and it just sort of like lifts the egg up and like lays it down over the edge, and the egg at this point, like the wave rolls and the egg begins to like roll across the deck.
I watch it. I just stand there and watch.
It's the other side of the decking, like rolls back. Yeah. And
this will be better when we have more eggs in here.
Is there anything on the deck that I can like move to like wedge the egg between this edge of the deck and it?
There's barrels and there's this massive crate which like the top of it like pulled off a little bit, that's filled with bottles of potato vodka stuffed in hay that these guys stole from the people that you saved. And so yeah, like
Suka, help me grab a barrel. I'll grab one too, and we'll kind of wedge the egg in here.
Excellent. So Suka like grabs a barrel. You guys start like rolling them and like trying to like wedge the egg up, and you're able to like secure it kind of back near the staircases. Valerian, you're like moving a little bit more slowly, but the elemental like passes you, and like the wave sort of splashes up over coming off of it as it makes its way back towards the beach, right?
So I'm gonna go to.
Am I getting gory in like rock guts yet? Am I finding goodies? Maybe.
Yes. So Havoc, you're like walking around assessing this rock, and you're like, oh yeah, like the beak, the talons, all this stuff is important, the feathers, and yeah, you like pull like, what are you gonna use? Your sword, or you're gonna try to use like a knife or something? How are you gonna try to start dismantling this thing?
Whatever it takes. I have the daggers. I have swords. I have
pull like one of your daggers, and you're like trying to like cut the beak like off of this thing, like starting at the head, and yeah, you're just like misjudging though. You're having a hell of a time, and like the beak like cracks a little bit. You like shatter part of it, a piece of it like flakes off. And you guys can see like Gimble and Berriluss, like Havoc beginning to like chop and like work at this thing, at the rock's like body, his face, and he does not appear to be doing a particularly efficient job butchering this creature per se.
I don't wanna sound like an asshole, but I think I'm fucking it up.
All right, I am also thinking of the up fucking myself.
Gimble, you probably know about cutting these things up. Well, maybe not these things in particular, but other birds.
I don't usually cut birds up. Usually they're my friends, and I ride on them, or I give them
right, but you would know what like parts might be valuable.
You might know the nature of things, I think is what he's getting at.
Yeah, the thing. Yeah, nature of things.
I know things of nature. Let's see. I could maybe... No, I don't think I'd be very good at this. But I think Gheddar is good at stuff like this. Maybe we can get him off the boat, and he can he likes sandwiches, and like you have to cut up chicken to make sandwiches, right? So he'd probably be pretty good.
This is good logic.
Yeah. So I think we should probably go get Gheddar.
Check it out. He's moved the boat in closer. Can I send Can I just message him with a cantrip? Can I just like?
What's the range? 120 feet. Yes, sure.
Yeah, sick. Hey, I know you know how to cut up chickens. Come down here.
Is there a boat or anything, Rich?
Yes, there's a bunch of little rowboats, and so Suka is just like waiting expectantly for your orders.
They want me to come to the shore for some reason, Suka. Can you join me in a boat?
It's to cut up a chicken.
He's like, yes, absolutely, sir, absolutely. Frederick, help me with this boat. And so, like, yeah, Frederick kind of comes over, like, grumbling a little bit. He's the big guy who you, like, cut to ribbons down at the foot of the stairs when you first took the ship, Gheddar. And so Frederick, like, helps Suka lower this boat and drop it over the edge of the ship down into the water. There's a pair of oars in it, and Suka, like, kind of climbs down the rigging on the side of it, and you're able to, like, get yourself down and situated, and the two of you begin rowing. At this point, actually, Valerian has, like, come to the side of the ship. I'm sorry. As they're, like, lowering the rowboat down, Valerian, you're, like, standing down at, like, the edge of the ship. The waves kind of, like, moving you up and down, rocking the ship, and you see these guys lowering a rowboat off the side.
Is everything okay?
Yeah, we're just moving these giant eggs. Here you go. Can I set? How high is the boat from the water?
It's a bit of trouble. It's probably about 10 feet, you know? So, like, you could just kind of, like, get it even with the top of the boat, but they're going to have to, like, lower ropes or do something to get it up in there. And so there is, like, a means of, like, getting cargo onto the ship, right? There's an arm with, like, a pulley and block and tackles and like, netting for, like, big pieces of cargo, like barrels and stuff like this. And so Suka, like, sees what's happening, and he's just like, Bones, get the hooks. Get the hooks and pulleys. Let's go. Come on. We got eggs. We got eggs on board.
We got eggs.
Bones is just like.
Why does that sound not good?
It's like alien eggs.
Yes, because you think you're an alien, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to switch plans and help the men rope the egg to get it on deck. So I am not heading to shore anymore.
Well, you're able to, like, get the egg up with, like, a little bit of time. And so you, Gimble, and Berriluss are, like, still waiting on the shore, and you kind of watching this whole operation happen. At this point, the Earth Elemental has come back, gotten its second egg, and begun, like, its journey out, right? And so, yeah, once you guys, like, have the egg that Valerian brought up onto the deck, and Bones and Frederick are kind of, like, situating it within the barrels, like, getting it propped up so it won't roll around all over the deck, the Earth Elemental gets back out there with its second egg and pushes it over, and Bones and Frederick just look over at you like, we got it, no problem. The old man's like, ah.
I'll stay here and help with the rest of the eggs. You go help them figure out how to make rock sandwiches.
What? Okay.
That's a pretty loaded statement.
I had below deck, Rich, and I grabbed some bread. Confused and a knife. And what do we have in the way of condiments on the ship?
Hollandaise.
I will bring. If that's all we got, that's what I got to bring, I guess.
There's also like black pepper and mustard seed.
Oh.
And,
I'm like loading up spices then in my yeah.
It seemed Captain Frostblood had something for dill because there's way more dill on a pirate ship than there ever should be. And so, yeah, you've got your dill and your mustard seed, your peppercorns, and a nice jar of fresh hollandaise sauce made by one Dread Pirate Darkspawn. And you guys, you lower yourself down into the rowboat. Suka's like waiting for you and begins diligently like rowing his way back out to the coast. while the earth elemental like passes your ship, like making its way back, and kind of as like it gets itself like back towards the coast, you guys sort of see it begin to like fade, and the spell ends and the hour is up as the earth elemental like fades back to the elemental plane of earth where it was conjured, leaving you all
eggs on ship.
On the ship. Yes, sir.
Okay.
2 stone.
While we've been watching that, I want to like this is happening like rewind a little bit. I'm not going to do anything. I just want to have a conversation with Berriluss. But while we're watching this, I'm gonna talk to Berriluss and be like, this is kind of a shit show most of the time, huh, man?
I mean, normally you have more people on a boat to make things happen.
Oh, I see.
We happen to kill most of those people.
Yeah, that was an interesting day. One of the most interesting I think I've ever had. You did pretty good though.
I mean, I didn't know where you were for most of it, but when you showed up, you did some stuff.
Yeah, I don't know where I was. Anyway, so I need to get a hold of Sendok. You seem to be able to like talk to people across space and time. Is that like a thing you do?
Kind
of.
what?
You knew where to find us. You got Gheddar. I mean, he hasn't showed up.
I am a seer of things, not a talker too of things. Oops.
Oh. What do you think we should do? Like Sendok was like, "Hey guys, let me know when the rock's dead," and we were like, "Cool." And then like we went off and we killed the rock, and now I don't know exactly what to do. Do we have to sail back to him? Do you think he's in the same spot he was when we left? Is he just waiting for us?
These are all wonderful questions.
Well, we need to figure out some way to get him a message. I can, once we're done with all of this, I could conjure like a bird, but I think once it flies too far, it just kind of dissipates into nothingness. I mean, like when a tree falls in the woods and nobody's around, does it make a sound?
You know, I'm gonna reach into chat for this one. Smoke signal sounds like a fucking great idea.
Interesting. What about this? If I turn you into a bird, will you fly to Sendok and say, "Hey guys, hey Sendok, we totally killed the rock you wanted us to kill"?
Then I have to come back. I guess I wouldn't. Maybe he could help me come back.
Well, or you could have him send us a message to tell us where to meet you guys.
Doesn't really go that far.
I think this is the best idea.
Pretty close range.
What do you want to be? Do you want to be an ostrich or a chicken or a pigeon or a giant eagle? Because those are pretty fucking cool.
I love that the first two weren't flight. They couldn't fly.
Oh, so no ostrich then. Okay. How about? Oh, you know what I can make you? I can make you a whale, and then you could get there and go. Ooh.
You know, I'm just gonna go get close to the water. You pick something, and I'll react however it needs to be.
Okay, that sounds like a great plan. I'll try not to do like a bear, because that wouldn't be.
Yeah. Make sure it's got wings or gills.
Bears can swim, technically.
but...
Just throwing it out there. Polar bear?
Oh, polar bear. That's a great
Sendok
idea.
and those Bree that he was with is from the White Bear tribe. That was the tribe of Bree people that you just saved. The White Bear tribe. Just saying.
Polar bear. Yes. Okay. So he gets next to the water, and
these bears became very racially charged all of a sudden.
So this is lining up at about the same time that the stone elemental poofs out of existence now, and I'll cast polymorph on Berriluss and turn him into a bear, a polar bear.
Get it? Because it's Berriluss. Yeah. Ah!
Berriluss Cosmis. I love it. It's so fun. So So ultimately, yeah, Berriluss, you're walking up to the water, and you could see Suka like rowing this rowboat out, and Gheddar is in the rowboat, like, you know, with this basket in his hands, right? And ultimately, Valerian standing back on the deck of the ship with the others. And you guys see Berriluss walk up to the edge of the water. The waves kind of splash up around his shins. And suddenly he begins like kind of like squatting down in front of you, and his face like elongating, the whitish silver hair turning like even whiter as it starts to like sprout up out of the rest of his body, and he transforms into a polar bear, and he's like like on all fours with the waves sort of like breaking up around his chest. Like he's a very clean white polar bear, right? He doesn't have all that staining and, you know, blood on him and stuff. He's very sharp looking.
So then I will shout to Valerian, wait for our message. We'll see you soon. Wait, can I see Valerian? Like, is he back at the boat now?
I'm at the boat.
On the deck of the ship,
Okay,
yeah.
so Havoc's the only one with me on the island at this point.
Well, I'm like right there, kind of.
Yeah. Suka and Berriluss, or Suka and Gheddar are just like coming up onto the beach as Berriluss is standing there.
So I'll say, okay, guys, we're gonna go get Sendok. We'll send you a message of where to meet us, and then I'll wild shape into a polar bear, and Berriluss and I'll go off so that I can continually turn Berriluss into a bear on our journey if it's more.
So here's a bear-related question. How long does the spell last?
An hour. but my bear form lasts for 4 hours.
Why don't you go?
No, we're going together.
Okay.
And so I'll turn you into a bear or conjure you an animal.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll have to spam Dimension Door.
Or you can ride on my back later.
Gheddar, like, you're getting off the boat as Gimble is like walking down towards the coast. And do you say anything to him and Suka, or you just turn into a bear and start swimming away?
Me?
Yeah. I'm saying.
I said, hey, we're going to get Sendak. We'll send a message to let you know where to meet us, and then I turn into a bear and walk away.
How long is water walking?
Is Havoc there?
Well, I could probably run faster as a bear.
Havoc, Havoc is here on the beach. Yeah.
I thought we were.
Walk lasts for an hour, and it's not concentration, so that's fine.
So your two polar bears actually like walking on the surface of the water.
Yeah, this is much better.
Start to leave.
That's
They
awesome.
just start like walking away. These two polar bears back towards the north.
We'll sprint. I'm a bear.
Yeah.
Pick up speed. Let's go.
It's true. Berriluss starts running. Havoc is like standing here. Havoc, you just saw this whole like scene go down. It's like Gheddar is like getting out of the boat, and Suka's like, "Wait, are those guys actually bears, sir?"
Right now they are.
Well, I mean, I know, but never mind.
I walk up to Havoc and just kind of I set the basket on the ground. I take out this checkered tablecloth and kind of lay it out onto the shore. And I'm like, so I guess it's just us two that are having this, and Suka that are having the sandwiches?
I am definitely sandwiching, and if you were bringing one of those bottles, also the drinking.
I did not bring any of the bottles. I brought bread. I have condiments. You guys, it sounds like you have some meat, maybe?
I can go back for the bottles if requested, sir.
Pause, Suka.
I'm sorry, sirs.
Yes, we are having some meat. I would say there's a little, at least.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
you get that, and I'll get the stuff ready. And
Let me show you about these meats, and maybe you are helping me to retrieve some of these meaty parts.
I take out the steak knife that I grabbed from the kitchen. I guess lead on.
We are going to need a bigger knife. Right this way.
And I will follow Havoc.
You guys just like walk along the beach like a couple 100 feet and around like kind of the corner, the base of the cliff is like this shattered, broken, huge, gigantic, enormous red feathered bird. The rock like smashed down in. One of its wings kind of crushed and twisted underneath it. Whole like big scarred, burned out patch on its back from where Havoc hit it with the prismatic spray from his battered, tattered old sword. And a number of like major wounds along like its side and its back from where Valerian was carving it up pre-sandwiches. But yeah, there's this enormous rock, and you have to assume that, conservatively, there's 2 or 3 tons of sandwich meat here, literally.
I tell you. I show you spots that are good. I'm thinking, and then I start little fire for a roasting of a sandwich meat. Eh?
I don't have I can make sandwiches, but this is a bit above my pay grade. We'll get to that. I'm not sure what I'm gonna. I've got this knife. I've never carved. I have no idea where to begin here, Havoc.
Maybe you have a large battle axe or I
have this sword, sir. And like, so Suka pulls his longsword out and like offers it up to you guys.
I'll go grab the sword. Does it look serviceable? Is it sharp? I guess that's the main thing.
It's like, it's not a magnificent sword. It's old and rusty from being on the sea, but it looks pretty sharp.
And a little metallic tang to someone's rock meat. Never. Well, this'll. I never done this, but I'll. You know what? It's never stopped me from trying. So I will start to lay into. Well, where should I go? Like, point me to the tender part.
Okay. So, am I?
Is this like where we get the Rocky Mountain oysters right here?
So now that I've had a little bit of experience with the bird at this point, could I do like another check, kind of a reevaluation of where I think like the most valuable parts might be?
The problem is you don't really know a lot.
No, I don't.
Idea of how to of what's valuable, but you realize you being the guy to take it off is not as efficient as it could be. Probably somebody who knows a little bit more about anatomy might be safer. But what you do know as far as the meat goes, like sandwich meat, you've eaten a lot of poultry, I would imagine. Man, it's like a chicken, man.
Hey, Gheddar. I am quite partial to the thigh meat. Nice juicy thighs.
Well, I will. I'll
Something I'd like to put my hollandaise sauce on, eh?
I brought your hollandaise sauce.
Oh, perfect.
Yes. I will kind of stroll around the rock looking for a meaty part. The thigh. I'll go towards the legs and the thigh and
make a nature check, Gheddar, as you try to begin carving up one of the thighs.
While all this is going on, Valerian realizes that no more eggs are coming back to the ship. So he's going to grab a couple bottles of potato vodka and head back to shore.
Okay, so Valerian grabs the potato vodka and jumps over the edge of the ship, landing solidly on the surface of the ocean, and you start walking back out, not nearly so encumbered as you were when carrying this massive egg. You are able to with expert precision, as only a sandwich maker from a bronze fortress beneath the waves could. You cut off perfect strips of the thigh, and you're able to take out these huge flanks of meat as broad as your chest, like carve off the thigh, while Havoc has like lit himself a little fire over on the corner of the beach. He's got a little like circle of stones he put together and some driftwood, some of the old rotted wood off of this like broken, shattered dock. The sea lions that were like covering the dock when you guys showed up have like scattered and are all you see them occasionally, like their heads bobbing on the surface of the waves, and you walk past some of them as you come in past like the shattered, broken dock, Valerian, and like walking up to the fire, and you see Gheddar coming over with these huge flanks of meat, and Havoc like kicking the fire up, and Suka just kind of like standing smiling broadly with this big shit-eating grin, like just delighted to be part of the gang, you know.
I don't know much about cooking, but I think this is pretty thick. I don't know if this is campfire material. We need like a bonfire or something for this. I don't know.
Done.
Are the bear people coming back anytime soon, sir? Or are we in a particular rush?
Yeah. What happened? Why did they turn into bears and run away?
They said something
It was
about
Gimble's idea, I'm sure.
it sounded like they were trying to find that druid Sendak.
Oh yeah, he's gonna help us with whatever we're doing with these eggs and these. I don't know. I'm hungry. Let's make some sandwiches.
Yeah, well, we've got the. I'll try to like until like we get a larger fire. I will cut off like I'll start to like slowly fillet like little like thin pieces of the meat so that it's more serviceable to cook.
Excellent.
I'm making this up as I go along.
Yeah.
Says Gheddar.
And is there something maybe that I could roll against as far as having a knowledge at all for like how to cook this kind of size of meat in particular?
I mean, it's not like, yeah, we need sandwich
Jack
proficiency.
of all trades.
You are proficient in everything as a jack of all trades. Cooking is like a good one. Like, I don't know. What do you think you should roll? I'm inclined to go to like survival, though. Like, that's kind of a reach. But yeah, I don't know.
I was thinking charisma. I don't know why. It just looked like, or
I bet you were. I bet you were, friend. Make a flat wisdom check. How about that? Just make a flat wisdom check.
Did I do that right?
You sure did, precisely. And with a roll of 17, you are able to cook this perfectly on the small fire that you have, as Gheddar is kind of like thinly slicing these like flanks of this dark red rock meat. And you've like set yourself up a series of like a couple of stones that you're able to like lay these pieces down on, and they start like sizzling and cooking perfectly, the grease kind of like oozing out of them. And
can I make a dex check to see how well I deboned the meat?
Sure you can, if you would like. Yes. Not a bone to be had. They are big bones in the rock, so easy to work around, as the case is. And so on that note, while you three begin like cooking the meat with Suka like watching over and like moving back and forth, gathering firewood, bringing it back for you guys, the camera kind of pans up and away from the scene, following the smoke as it rolls off the little campfire up into the air. And you can see the rock's nest with this great deal of refuse in it, the broken ships and shattered bones of men and beasts and dolphins and all fashion of creatures which it had been feeding on. And the camera like taking in this whole sort of island that this old dock is on, where the rock lays dead on the beach on the eastern coast. And we can kind of see now with this overview look, these two solitary white figures moving across the gray-blue water of the Cold Star Sea. And the camera kind of begins to like pan down and angle up, taking in the cliff side of this island as they're making their way up to the northwest, following the trail along the coast that they took in the ship days before. And so, yeah, you two guys are polar bears.
You have to do this
So,
whole
yeah.
scene in bear.
So, yeah.
Just FYI.
Yeah, you can't talk to each other, though you are bears. So you guys have this incredible like sense of smell that you did not have before. And so Gimble, this is sort of old hat to you. You've worn many skins, but for you, Berriluss, you have never been in the shape of an animal before, have you? Is this your first time, Berriluss?
Yeah, I think this is the first time Berriluss has ever been a bear.
So you're taken aback by, as a man who spent his life on the seas, how pungent and salty it is, the tang of it, the taste, the like electricity almost of these polar bear taste buds on your big, sloppy, enormous tongue that like feels so awkward in your over large mouth with these massive, gigantic teeth in it. And you find yourself like kind of like exploring, like, you know, like your new body to a sense of like your hearing is much keener than it is as an ASMR, but especially your scent, right? The scent of the fish coming up off the ocean and of the salt and of the seaweed and all the many things that lie beneath the surface of the waves. So as you guys are kind of like making your way and this island like pitches off to the northwest and you're following along the coast, the breeze is coming down off the cliffside over the top of the water, and both of you catch a smell, a scent, the scent of men, of filthy men, sweaty, grimy. And so you both kind of like glance. How about both of you make perception checks? But you're polar bears, so you only have +3. So both of you roll 1d20 +3.
Okay.
Can they tell if these men are men in tights? Tights?
Oh, this is my
Find
favorite
out
movie.
in a moment. Excellent. That's the same difference. 13 and a 6. Berriluss, you're looking and like your eyesight is not as awesome as a bear. This is a giant pain in the ass. And you're like squinting up at the cliff and like you know you can smell these men, but you cannot confirm whether or not they're wearing tights because you just can't see them. But you, Gimble, you see some motion up at the top of the cliffs and you catch sight just for a moment of a man like brown, sort of like almost like seal skins or sea lion skins or something like that, like hiding behind some of the brush, like looking at the two of you off the top of the cliff. And then he kind of like slips and like moves further along the coast to sort of like shadow you as you're moving. And as you glance, then you see more movement of like people at the top of the cliff heading to the south, back towards where your friends were on the beach.
So
yeah, I'll wait for Berriluss to do something.
yeah, I think you said there was people heading or movement to the south, and then
Yeah. There's like one guy essentially kind of shadowing the two of you as you're walking along the coastline, but there's some motion of like a larger group of people headed back towards where your friends are.
And now is there like a cliff? Or is it like...
Yeah. I'm sorry. So you're down on the surface of the waves, and just like the cliff where the rock nest was, right? This whole sort of island is this almost like big, tall, standing butte. So there's this cliff that's ranges anywhere, like at its lowest, it's about 40 feet above the surface of the ocean, and at its highest, it's about 80 feet, right? But there's this like sheer kind of cliff line like running, and these guys are way up high on the cliff that you see.
And I can't cast spells as a bear, huh?
Negative. You cannot articulate verbal components. Your big giant claws are great for ripping people apart, but not so awesome for somatic components.
Kind of, they're good at climbing too, kind of. So maybe we can. Can we get up this cliff?
there are points that it looks like would be climbable by an animal. Yeah.
Then we shall head towards one of the said points.
So you're gonna turn toward the cliff?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're gonna try and climb this motherfucker.
I'm gonna swim with him toward the cliff. But as we start to approach it, I'm going to drop his polymorph.
Oh, this guy.
Okay,
Okay.
so you just as you're getting like up towards the foot of the cliff, you're still standing on the surface of the waves. You feel like the magic slipping off of you, Berriluss, and suddenly like your form is like inherently kind of like pulling itself back upright, and the warmth of like this thick white polar bear fur coat falls away as you transform back into your man shape.
Oh, I'm sure that feels wonderful.
And I'm going to like swim under him so he can ride on my back.
Oh, okay. You're gonna do all the climbing for both of us? I'm not gonna argue with this.
Well, I was going to do something else actually.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to get us to the cliff as a polar bear. Right? And then I'm going to drop my wild shape and polymorph into a giant eagle.
Okay, so your wild shape falls off, and Gimble is like standing here next to you, and then you hear him begin to like murmur in prayer and like conjuring up magic again, and his form then like shifts almost as quickly as it changed from bear to gnome, again back into the form of the giant eagle.
And then I'm going to kind of like bow my head, like we're on the edge of the cliff. I'm going to like bow my head for him to get on again.
Well, you still have like water walking, right? So you're like this giant eagle like standing on the surface of the waves at the foot of the cliff.
Less than half an hour?
It's been like 45 minutes since the water walking was cast, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Then, yeah.
Got that DM clock.
Great. That's easier. So yeah, I'll bow my head for him to step on.
Yeah. Step on your head or on the back?
Well, I'm bowing my head so you can get.
Yeah. No,
right.
I get on.
Okay. And then I'll take off toward the guy. Shit. I'm gonna start flying toward the people and see what Berriluss says to me.
Okay, so as you guys Gimble's like big enormous wings, each one of which is the size of 4 regular sized gimbals, starts flapping, and the water like surges and like kind of fans out down underneath it, these ripples pushing off of the air displaced by your enormous wings, and you begin to gain altitude. You see the man who was like standing kind of at the edge of the cliffs mirroring you, like following, tracing your path up into the sky, and then he turns and like brakes, running towards like the interior of the island away from you guys. And you could see now as you gain height and get up above the height of like this cliff, essentially it's this sort of like rough, broken like copses of trees, that scattered trees kind of thinning like grass and brush, and you can see a location where it looks like there's a couple of buildings, maybe like 3/4 of a mile in off of the cliffside, right? And so you veer, turning, heading back towards the south, and you could see this group of people that are moving towards the south. They're making their way towards where the rock nest is. And as they see you in the sky, like you're looking down at them with your keen eagle eyes, and you, Berriluss, with this vantage from high in the sky, can see them easily. Can I
cast invisibility on Gimble before we get to them?
Oh, you certainly could.
So
No,
like
I'm
I'm
surfing. I'm silver surfering.
Yeah, well, you're like riding, you're straddling nothing in the air, right? Holding on to these things, and you just kind of like moving, grooving like through the air, flying in this like rhythmic, like, undulating kind of motion. And so the group, like, they turn up and look at you, and you see a few of them point, and they turn, and you could see, it's like hard to make out like a lot of detail about them from up this high. How high up are you, Gimble?
Well, so like we're over the cliff face, so like 40, 50 feet.
40 or 50 feet up above the top of the cliff. Okay, so yeah, then you get actually a pretty good look at them. And what you see are 3 men that appear to be like human, all of whom are wearing like these worn kind of grayish breeches, and you could see like moccasins almost like tied on their feet, laced up high almost to their knees. And then they're wearing these sort of like sea lion skin cloaks like wrapped around their shoulders. Each one of them carries like a heavy maul with them, just a big haft of wood with like a massive kind of like rock shaped out and wedged onto the end of it, tied on. And then there's 2 women. One of them is human, like dressed like the others, right? And then one of them is actually appears to be a half-orc. You could see the familiar like greenish tint to her skin, and tusks, just the glimmering like ivory white tusks protruding out from the bottom of her lip. And her head is like shaved on the sides, and her hair tight on the top, pulled back into this sort of ponytail behind her. And she is holding just like a staff in her hand, and you can see hanging off of like a thong on her belt, a mace with like a spiked metal head on it. And so like as she like takes sight of you, Berriluss, with your strange like rhythmic undulation on the invisible eagle in the sky, she like turns and like mutters some words to the other ones that you can't quite hear. They're sort of lost on the wind, and they all turn and break and begin like running for the interior of the island again.
Tell me she looks like Paula Patton. Please tell me she looks like Paula Patton.
It's half-orc Paula Patton.
I say we chase him. Should we chase him?
Yeah,
Is that an affirmative call?
I'll
Okay.
keep going. I'll kind of like try to pick up a little speed. Like I'll come down a tiny bit to like 30 feet, kind of angling, and try to get a little speed picked up.
Yeah, so you like begin to accelerate. Now you guys down on the beach, the meat is like cooking, the fire is going, and you hear this kind of like on the wind in the air in the distance. And as you guys glance up, you see the strangest of sights indeed. It's the back of your new ally, Berriluss Cosmis, like his back bare. It's not as tan as it should be for a man who's a sailor. His white hair billowing out behind him as he just like flies in the air, strangely like undulating, like as though, and you're like, what the fuck? He's flying like over where the rock's nest was, and they kind of like turn and dive and dip down, and he turns away from you in his strange like undulating motion away out into like the interior of the island above the cliff. And Suka like kind of looks up like, sirs, did you see that?
If he falls to his death, I get his sandwiches.
That's fair, sir.
Didn't they just like head out that way?
I yell out. I yell back. My sandwiches.
I will continue to cook.
Okay.
I've got nothing. This has been a day of seeing strange things. Expect
Welcome
many
to my
more in the
life.
future. Yeah.
Suka's just like, indeed it has, sir. Indeed it has. I'm ready for these sandwiches. And at this point, he just kind of sits down, his eyes still kind of like trailing up towards the cliff and like looking back to the rock, like kind of like amazed, this wide-eyed amazement. And so Berriluss and Gimble, you guys are like chasing after like this group of people who are running, and you see the half-orcish woman turn, like catching sight of you, and then she turns and like shouts out a command to her party, to this group with her, and she's like, split, split. And they all like begin to like break, right, in separate directions, like running in like different directions across like this mesa, this open top of this thing. And so you guys are like moving faster than she is. Your eagle is like much faster. Now this woman, quite frankly, is very, very quick. For like a person, a humanoid on their feet running, like you're amazed at how quick she's moving. And you see her like leaping over stones, like jumping and kind of like tumbling over boulders. Like she does a front flip over one of them. time. She's like leaping up, like running along the length of like these dead tumbled trees, and she like turns and keeps trying to duck, but the problem is there's not a lot of cover up here. It's mostly like barren, right? So she's like trying to like, she keeps ducking and weaving in between trees to try to slow you, but effectively you guys are like right above her. You can get like as close as you want, essentially. She can't outrun you.
I'm gonna off of my robe pull one of my hempen rope patch, and I'm gonna like as I'm pulling it out, I'm gonna like prep a lasso, and I'm gonna try and lasso her. How do I go about this?
Okay, so check it out. Berriluss like pulls open his robes, and we see this like array of these strange, like kind of mismatched patches, sort of like seeming as though they're shoddily like sewn into the inside of it. And we see his fingers like come down to the one of the rope, and he just grabs it and rips it out. And as like he snaps his hand out, this patch is just like suddenly this rope, this length, 50 feet long of like hempen rope, like rolling out around you. So you take a moment and like tie like this lasso onto the end of it. Fundamentally, you are not proficient in this, but you're going to make an attack roll. You're going to roll 1d20 plus, what's your strength?
1.
Alan, I told you when we were making these characters, man, you needed proficiency in eagle riding and lassoing. I don't know what you were thinking.
Look, I'm proficient in riding the invisible eagle. No.
He's Wonder Woman. You guys realize he's
I know, I was going to say that earlier. He's got an invisible blade.
Okay, so Wonder Cosmis, you're gonna roll 1d20 times 2. I'll let you use your dex instead of your strength and make this as a finesse lasso.
Okay. Here comes.
Here it comes. 7. So you throw the fucking lasso down, and like the woman just like sees it coming. She's like glancing, like, and she just leaps and tumbles, like diving and rolling into the ground, like away from you, back up onto her feet. She's like running, and as you're like pulling the rope back up, getting ready for a second toss, she like turns screaming to you up into the sky, like, "Thou wizard! Is it not enough that you have killed our icon? Now you hunt me with your terrible magics!" And so she's just like fucking running. And so she's turning like back out towards the coast now, trying to like pull you guys away from the sort of 3 buildings in the center of the island.
I think we may have met the next member of our crew, guys. You got to succeed in this.
Okay. Okay. So the rope isn't going as well as I had planned. I'm gonna
You can try again if you want.
No, I'm gonna go ahead and just like throw it over my shoulder and go for patch number 2. I'm going for a 10-foot pole.
It's joust. So suddenly he opens the other side of his robe now and rips out like another one of these patches, and this like this 10-foot like pole comes out, and you're kind of like, whoa, trying to get a balance on it with your like strange undulation now with like this flagpole with no flag. You've got this 10-foot pole. As you're visibly flying through the air, she's turning, looking back at you like, "What foul sorcery drives you? Damn you, wizard!"
I'm really going just like aiming to stick the pole, really not going to do damage, but just like between her legs as she's running, so like they can't catches the pole.
Just want to trip her, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So make an attack. Do you have a staff in any of your items?
I do have a staff. Hold on.
Same difference. I'll give it to you.
All right. Where's that? Here we go.
Yeah. One
Come at me.
crystal top 10-foot jousting pole. So you can like see like you're down low, Gimble, flying invisibly, invisible eagle mode, and Berriluss, you like tilt down the 10-foot pole, like coming for her, and just like shove out, and she like leaps, but her foot hooks on the pole, and she tumbles like going down, and she kind of rolls with it and twists around, like putting her back to like one of these trees, and she's down low almost like this cornered cat glaring up at you. She snaps the mace off of like her belt, holding it, like spinning it deftly in one hand, like, come for me then, damn you! Come for me then!
Now hold on. Now if we wanted you dead, I wouldn't have tripped you. I'd have just thrown some lightning. All right? You just seemed a little menacing heading towards my friends. And we were trying to...
That bird was a century old.
And now
Our
it's
tribe has
essentially dead.
worshipped it for 100 years. My grandmother gave offering to that bird.
Well, I'm sorry that's not not something we had taken into account when we went to kill this bird. We didn't know you existed.
She's sort of like watching you as like Gimble. You're just like
Going
circling.
in circles.
And so you're just like kind of like turning, trying to like hold on tight with her. And she's like at the base of this tree, like clinging to her mace, kind of watching you circle around. And she's like, well, we do exist. We do. We are the sea lion tribe of the Bree. And we have called this place home until the dynast broke it and drove us from it, taking half our numbered slaves. Then the damned white bear have driven us to near extinction. This is one of our final hunting grounds and a place of great honor and homage, and you have killed a sacred guardian of the realm.
Really glad we didn't roll up here as giant white bears. Just on his side. Well, I don't know what we can do about making amends for that, but the bird's dead, so, you know.
And tasty.
Taking the eggs.
You can invite him to brunch.
We saw you taking the eggs.
Okay. Can we not have the eggs? We killed it!
If your words are more than hot winds from your stinking mouth, and you would make right this grievous crime you have committed against our peoples, perhaps you could start by leaving us with some of them.
Can I try to lay an egg right now?
I don't think so, because in fact your sex does not change.
Okay.
So unless there's something really dynamic going on with gnomes that I don't understand. But I do see, just to touch back to like, some of what we'll see made in a couple of weeks, if you want to try to attempt a conjunctional effect, you could try to get a little of femininity and masculinity that you could use in synchronization with your wild shape. But unfortunately,
yeah, I don't have that yet.
I just submit that nature finds a way.
Sorry, Dr. Skamos, the chaostician.
So, did we never successfully got all of the eggs on the boat, right? We stopped like halfway.
Well, yeah, there were only 3 when you guys walked away.
Okay. So as far as I know, my friends have not loaded all of the eggs on the boat. We'll leave what isn't on the boat on shore. That saves us trouble, saves you a little bit of heartache, just a little. I know we heard a lot today, but that way you guys don't have to come and try to assault our friends, and we don't have to kill you, and then we can go back to what we were trying to do.
Meanwhile, I'm assaulting the meat.
You are assaulting the meat.
Yeah, we're chowing down on some sandwiches at this point. Just like,
So she says to you, how do I know that I can trust you? If I send my warriors down there, you're likely to kill all of us like you did the rock.
Right, that's why you don't send warriors. We'll just leave eggs, and it'll be okay. Right?
So be it then. If you mean to leave us, then leave us.
I got one stop to make. But yeah, we'll leave, don't worry. And then
If you don't kill the beast, we know that we're likely outmatched.
that's smart of you
to drive my people to their death.
Right. Yeah. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna kind of like I don't even know, like nudge Gimbus. I'm gonna call him Gimbus because right now he's my flying Gimbus. And in the notion to like, all right, we can go now. Hopefully, she won't
talk to me. I just can't talk to you.
Yeah, I know, but I don't want to like betray where we're headed.
Okay, so what I'll do is now that he's done this diplomacy.
Diplomatic. I know it was diplomatic. It was much more diplomatic than diplomacy.
I'm gonna land and let him off.
Oh, okay.
And drop my polymorph because it only lasts for an hour. And
still...
I'm gonna say
her eyes like go wide and like she stands up now tall, like fully erect as the two of you are on the ground. Berriluss holding his 10-foot pole, the rope wrapped around his chest. Gimble like standing up to his hip next to him, you know, like dwarfed by the 10-foot pole. And she's like, her eyes like go wide. She kind of like bares her teeth a little bit like.
Does his invisibility drop on me?
Oh, no. Great. Good point. Yeah. Sorry about that. That's a good point. You did not attack or cast a spell. So, yeah, she sees you like land and she stands up like fully still, like glaring at you, like holding the mace out in front of her defensively.
This is not what I had told the bird to do. Well, now I'm just gonna drop his invisibility because now I'm confused.
Okay, so I'll be like, oh, hey, lady. Sorry about the rock. I kind of heard what was going on, and yeah, we're gonna be on our way now. If that's cool with you, you've got your eggs. Hope that omelet's real yummy. We're gonna jet.
Omelets? Is that what you're going to do with those eggs?
Oh, we're so insensitive,
creature.
No. We're going to build an altar and worship them forever and ever.
Roll a deception check.
Yeah, that's
definitely not what we're gonna do.
Shit. You have advantage on all intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. Nope, that doesn't work. Okay, deception it is.
Wait.
Oh, that's a saving. Yeah.
Oh my god. She's just like, you're a druid?
Me? Yeah, kinda, little. Should I not have told her that?
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
We look highly on many of the Cold Star Circle. They have been ally to us over the years, but I cannot understand how you allowed this to happen, son of the nature.
Well, it was actually a druid who asked us to take care of this menace in the first place. His name, I don't even remember. He was like
that damned half-breed fuck Sendak.
No, it definitely wasn't Sendak. It was something else. It was...
Started with like a G?
Grendak.
Yeah, kind of like Grendak, yeah.
Is that another deception check?
Yeah, it is. It totally is. I was going to give it to him until he said Grendak, and then I was like, wow, all right. I mean, I guess if we're trying to blow this one, we can. Yeah,
there he goes.
And she just like sneers, like, and spits on the ground, like lowering her mace, like, you have done a grievous wrong, but that you have done it in his name is even more shameful. Go back to those manipulative liars, then. The Bree people are all one, and so we have not brought war upon the White Bear tribe, though it is our right to do so after the atrocities they have committed to my people. But so be it. Go back to your master, half-elf.
Well, master is it's a little stretch, you know.
Okay, more like mercenaries. So it's more like a contract. I don't know.
Acquaintance. Anyway,
yeah.
Thanks for not killing us. We'll be on our way now.
Indeed you will, and so will I. Do not return to this place. And she like turns and begins walking away. And I think this is probably a good time to take our break, right? 10 after 9.
Yeah, so we'll be back in about five or 6 minutes. So stay tuned for that, and we'll pick this back up. We'll be going until usually 7:30 or 8 Pacific, something like that. So yeah, we'll be back in a few.
We'll be right back.
Hey guys, thanks for bearing with us on our intermission. I, though, am going to kick it over to Rich for an announcement about a new show that we are launching this month. So before we get take it away, Rich.
I am super excited about this one. If you dig like the vibe of this group, Alex, John, and Curt are all joining me along with a friend of mine, Mike Matuszewski, and the five of us are going to be playing Mage the Ascension, the 20th anniversary edition. And it's very different than D&D. These are games that came up in the 90s, obviously, 20-year anniversary. It came out a couple of years ago. And yeah, the White Wolf game series originated with Vampire the Masquerade. That's like the most popular of them. It's very much inspired in a sense by Anne Rice, Interview with the Vampire, that kind of stuff. But Mage the Ascension is a game of magic in the modern day. And these guys are going to be young mages, newly awakened to their power to reshape reality and kind of break the world around them. And they're going to be attending a very small sort of academy for new wizards in this world, in a kind of goth punk, Earth. Right, in New York State. So we're really excited about that. It's going to be a pretty weird game, much less about taking names and kicking ass than D&D is, just conceptually, right? It's a very sort of metaphysical, esoteric exploration. Alex was talking about Legion at the beginning of the show. That's a great sort of touchstone. The Magicians, and Harry Potter, even somewhere in the middle of all of that kind of mess of crazy, disparate tones within a sort of genre, right? But I think it's going to be a really good time. The team's a lot of fun.
We're going to be those are going to be weekly on Mondays. We may pre-record a couple of them due to
schedule.
So most of them are going to be live, but depending on scheduling, we might have to record a couple of them like on a Sunday or Saturday and then just air it on Mondays. But it will air at the same time on Mondays every week, and it'll be launching on Monday, May 21st. So stay tuned for all of that stuff.
Super exciting. Yeah, just go follow us on Twitter and stay up to date, right? That's the deal.
Oh, yeah. I just also wanted to push. We got our Facebook page up and running as well. So you can use the link in the channel feed, but go on over there and follow us because we do some of these announcements earlier on Facebook. We like to tease artwork for these shows over there. So, and it's just kind of fun to we want to build the community of people the community over there so that we're, talking about shows, getting ideas from you guys, that sort of thing. So head on over to Facebook and please like the page. And once we have enough people on the page, we will create a group. So, Anyway, I can't wait to see what happens next in this crazy episode of the show.
And so we will see what happens next. The camera kind of pans away from these separating parties up on the top of this mesa in the sea, this like granite pillar standing out above the gray water of the Cold Star Sea. And we see one pair, a small gnome in leathers with his kind of goggles up perched on his forehead, and Gimble Stonecloak and his friend Berriluss Cosmis with his robe of patchwork and his crystal-topped staff in hand. And kind of as the camera lifts away from the two of them, we see separating away this half-orc woman wearing her simple rough spun with a rope tied around her waist and a mace in hand. And she very noticeably glances back at this other pair as she makes her way back towards the three buildings in the center. But the camera pulls away from them for a moment, kind of following the trail of one of the seagulls, of which there are many nesting on this cliffside. And one of the birds circles over this delicious aroma which wafts up into the air as thinly sliced flanks of rock meat prepared carefully with the salt of the Cold Star Sea and cracked black peppercorn from the belly of Captain Frostblood's ship, as well as some mustard seed and hollandaise sauce are being prepared by Valerian, Havoc, and Gheddar.
So,
Sorry, is the camera stopping on us?
yeah.
Oh.
What now, guys? I guess we just wait for them to get back and enjoy these sandwiches. Yeah.
They seem to, if they were going to find this druid, they don't seem to be doing it in the most direct manner.
I'll
that
lean over to Gimble and be like, I feel like somebody's talking shit about us.
Yeah, your ears are ringing?
Yeah, just a little bit.
So what are you guys doing? You're going to just like walk your way back down?
No, we have to go.
So now that we've turned away, we start walking. And we take can we kind of walk while we short rest, or do we actually have to plant down there and hang out?
No, you have to like stop and rest.
So let's hey, Berriluss, I'm a little hungry. And you know, do you have any food on you? Like let's chill for a second.
Do I have food on me? That is a good question. I do not have food on me.
Oh, man,
where's them good berries at, bro?
Well, I don't know if I need a good berry right now, but let's chat for a bit. Berriluss, where are you from?
You know, I'm from a place up in the north. God, I don't have a name for it, to be honest. But
from nowhere? That's so interesting.
Well, yeah, I prefer to look at it like that nowadays. You spend a lot of time. I'm from a boat now, right?
Yeah. I've never been on a boat until a couple days ago.
So you're a druid who has done very little druid things and also very little boat things.
Well, I've done some druid things. I mean, I've done watery druid things and I've done rocky druid things, but you know, I've never done boat things. Who needs a boat when you can become a bird?
True. Pretty jealous of that.
I never really had friends before. People usually get like annoyed because I talk so much and they tell me to go away, but you guys seem to not care. It's awesome.
Right. I mean, like, serve a function.
Function? Yeah, I guess. So, what do you think we should do next? So, okay, that's actually something I needed to talk to you about. So, I think that Havoc wants to be captain. What do you think?
I mean, he has been a captain of a boat for a long time. Would be only natural for him to want to continue to be one.
Yeah. Do we want him to be our captain though? Because Gheddar is way more responsible than Havoc.
No.
While we were off like doing crazy stuff, he was like cataloging things in the ship. Like that's something. Like he made sacrifices.
He was taste testing everything. He's making sure that things were not spoiled, huh? That's true. It's a lot of responsibility. I mean, I've spent a lot of time on this boat, but I don't necessarily know that I'm the best for the captain.
Why
not? It's more of a personal option choice, you know.
Oh, you don't want to like have to lead these guys because then you can't be friends because you have to be the leader and the leader has to make hard choices and then we'll all get mad at you because like you sacrifice Havoc because he's the most expendable one in the situation and then we're all like, hey, Berriluss, you shouldn't have sacrificed Havoc and we're all mad at you so you want to be friends instead of having to kill Havoc?
I like you, Gimble.
Aw, never had friends.
We'll do just fine. Whoever becomes captain, I think.
Yeah,
I don't think it matters. I think, honestly, why not have 5 captains?
We could do that. That would be crazy. Well, I don't know. Valerian's a little scary. Although that might be why we should make him captain.
We're 5 parts of one perfect captain, you know?
Huh. That's a good way to look at things. Okay, so what I think we're going to do next is I'm going to turn into a bird again, and you can just ride my bird form all the way to where Sendak is, where we killed the Hydra. Or I guess where Valerian killed the Hydra. That was really cool, by the way. I've never seen somebody take out a giant sword and just slice heads off of something.
You know, that is exactly why he is that part of the captain. The scary part.
Yeah.
Now back to where we're headed. How do you think we should get there?
I'll fly us there.
All right. So you should become a bird.
So has a short rest happened at this point?
Well, no, you're walking. I thought
No,
you guys,
we were, like,
or you guys
sitting
were just
there.
sitting
No, we
there,
were
like,
sitting,
hanging out?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we were
I'm
chilling.
sorry.
Yeah, if
I
they're
thought-
if they're taking a short rest after like 40 minutes, I think it's like time to pack up the food and head back to the ship.
Well, so yeah, then your short rest has happened, and you've gotten your
Oh.
wild shapes back. And so you guys down there, that's what I'm saying. Like, you've cooked all your sandwich meat. You've eaten quite thoroughly because Gheddar very kindly brought out bread and mustard seed along with the hollandaise sauce. And Suka is like sitting there just like stuffed, kind of like rubbing his belly. He's loosened his like shanty pirate rope belt, his like longsword, bloody from butchering, lays in the sand beside him as he's kind of like resting up against this log. Like,
From a
You
morale
guys really are
perspective, I make
incredible.
sure that we have sandwiches for Frederick and Bones to bring back.
oh, this guy, you've carefully packed the basket to return to Frederick and Bones. Valerian brought the bottles of potato vodka, should anybody choose to partake.
I thought we've been partaking this whole time.
Okay, excellent. I did too.
Valerian has. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's been a hell of a day.
And so okay, so Gheddar, after about 40 minutes, you're just like, oh, we should go back. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I'm just not sure what's happened to them. Maybe we need to start sailing around the island and see what's up. It's been nearly an hour since that strange floating Berriluss floated by.
All
Maybe
right.
they left us for good.
No idea. But we've got sandwiches.
Are bear people known to just leave like that, sirs?
I've known these people for less than a week, so your guess is as good as mine.
Oh, well, you all fought together so efficiently. I thought that you were some kind of, I don't know, highly decorated military unit, or perhaps a brotherhood of mercenaries, or never mind. All right, yes, sir. So we're leaving. Should I pack it up?
I'll pack it up. There's a certain way you have to do this.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I'll go
And
get the boat.
I gingerly start organizing the spices and the condiments in the basket.
So Suka like runs back to the rowboat and begins turning it around. And he's like, "What about these eggs, sirs?"
We probably got enough for all the holidays we need. I can't walk on water anymore, and frankly, I'm just tired after all those cars.
As it should be, my tall friend. I push the hollandaise in the basket.
He puts the hollandaise in the basket.
Thank you. Someone picked up on it.
So Havoc, you were able to like get the beak like kind of broken off of this thing, and like you chopped off a couple of the claws, and you got a few handfuls of feathers,
Yes, I want to pack those up. Also, now that I'm like satiated and I've had something to drink, I would love to take maybe, if there's a little time there by the fire where it's relaxed, and kind of examine the brass ring and see if I can figure it out at all.
Absolutely. So you guys also have a short rest if anybody wants to like burn hit dice or do anything like that. And as you're able to like sit and examine this brass ring that you found buried at the bottom of the rock's nest, after the others had all pretty much decided that there was nothing of note left in here, you continued, you persisted, and you found this brass ring with your detect magic spell. And you eye it over, and you could see that there are runes carved onto like the interior of the ring, and they are arcane and draconic. You've seen enough magic items to know magic. Like exactly what they do is sort of difficult for you, but you begin like working over all the things you've seen in your mind. And once your belly is full and the potato vodka has your blood flowing nicely, you start to reflect on somebody that you once met in an inn at a port, and he was talking to you of the magic that he used to interact with many different cultures as he was to move down the coast to trade things from these northern ports in the far, far southern seas. And he mentioned to you having purchased scrolls from a local vendor that allowed him to cast magic upon himself so that he could speak any language and understand all languages. And you remember him showing them to you, and it just clicks, and you realize that this is a ring of tongues, and that 3 times per day can cast the spell tongues.
That sounds super kinky. I'm going to put it on.
Yeah. You put it on, and suddenly it's the sensation of tongues all over your body. No, I'm just it's not that at all. You can cast the spell tongues 3 times per day, right?
Yeah! Score!
Charges after a long rest.
All right,
So the rest of you guys pack up your sandwich basket. You attune to your ring. Valerian, you drink copious amounts of potato vodka, and then you load back into the rowboat with Suka, who's like trying to row you, and he's far weaker than.
I'll take over the rowing duties.
He's like, "Oh no, sir, please, it's my honor."
No, please.
Oh right, yes, sir, absolutely. I'm sorry, please. And he like gets out of the way, and the whole boat's kind of like rocking precariously as he moves up into the prow. Like Gheddar gets behind the oars, and with his strong arms, his bronze scales glowing in the sunlight, the silver scaled armor that he wears, distinctly sharp against his own. And you guys row back out to the boat where Frederick and Bones wait.
In 2 strokes.
We've got sandwiches.
Bones, the old man, is like,
Yeah, all right. You guys really have a whole fucking thing with these sandwiches. They're good, though. I'll give you that. They're delicious.
savage.
This sauce, really. I mean, I don't even know. I've never had this stuff.
Frederick's just like, can I have a bottle of the vodka? I mean, with the sandwiches, you know.
Absolutely. I see no problem with it.
Excellent. Thank you. You are absolutely the best one of all these guys. Thanks, bud. And he pulls the vodka out from like in like his tunic there, like pulls the cork. It's halfway empty. All of you notice, right? And so like, yeah. And with that, what are you guys doing? You gonna just take off and start heading back towards where the Hydra fight was?
So Valerian's just gonna be like, I'm tired. He's gonna head down and go to sleep.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I am thinking, how much are we at behest of these guys or whatever? Backtracking seems like going backwards, and I am thinking there could be places more to the future and forward for. We need to make some. I need to make some money. I have many debts to repay. Well, just the one debt, but it is size of many, so.
I'm along for the ride, so wherever you need me to go, I'll just point me in that direction and I'll follow.
And do I have an idea, or from my days on the sea around here, is there a port or any kind of a location nearby where we might be able to sail that might have some lucrative business opportunities, so to speak?
Yes. So Port Herod is like was one of the bigger ports in the local area, but another solid 100 miles to the south, there is another major trading city that is a dynastic city, right? It's much bigger. The idea is that a lot of the smaller towns, there are other like towns and camps and villages that have little ports around the area, right? Of those, there's maybe about 10. Somewhere between 8 and 10. But the nearest city besides Port Herod, where you just stole the ship to the northeast, further southwest is the city of Grey Pines.
Excellent. It's been a while since I've had any Grey Pines.
But of course.
Nice. And do I know any of like maybe syndicates there, business?
Yes, you definitely know that, like, network ships come and go from the ports in Grey Pines, and that you have a couple of, like, contacts. You would have some contacts on the street, sure.
So if there was any kind of a job to move goods of, completely innocent nature from one place to another, it would not be difficult to find such work there, eh?
It would not at all. You are highly familiar with the local thieves guild in Grey Pines. It's run by a man who's called Burko. And Burko is a human fellow, and the guild themselves are called the Grey Hand, very unoriginally, as the operatives of Grey Pines. And so they're not like a big time thieves guild in the sense that they're not like the biggest you've dealt with, right? There's a pretty frequent turnover of leadership. There's a great deal of instability, and while Grey Pines is a city, you guys are currently in the very northern reaches of Abrea in the Hoarfrost dynasty, in the dynasty of Enid Wraith, the white dragon goddess. And this is like one of the, less populous areas of the world. In other words, like you're in the north, right? It's cold. And so while it's a city, it's not a New York scale city. It is not a metropolis by any means, right?
Right. All right. I make proposal that we go
like about 8,000. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes. I propose we are going not too far from here to a place called Grey Pines. I believe we may be able to find some work there if you guys are interested.
Are you talking to Gheddar or to the crew?
Well, I guess you guys on the ship with me. If the crew listens in.
Valerian went downstairs and went to bed. Like, you guys got on the ship and he just went below decks and, like, is gone. And so you're up on the deck.
So not that sleepy guy.
Yeah, Suka's steering and Gheddar is, like, here with you, I guess, right? Yeah.
I am game to give it a try. I guess the matter is, do we leave now? And I look back at the island.
Look, these are magic bear people who dance on water and shimmy in the skies. So if anyone can find us, I'm sure it's them.
Okay. So you begin the preparations or what? To head where? South?
Yeah, toward Grey Pines. But of course, we're not rushing, just in case these flying shimmy bears show up again. But yes, we are preparing to go.
Okay. Is this Grey Pines the sort of city we're going to want to arrive during the day in, or like in cover of darkness?
You have a pretty fair idea, Havoc, that you would need like some kind of paperwork, or you're going to need to bribe the harbor master, and so like I don't know if you could facilitate paperwork, but otherwise you're going to want to like send somebody in at night before you bring the ship into port to like make sure that the harbor master's greased up to take you in, right?
Sounds like that might be a job for me. Do we have enough time while sailing where I can do some forgery of documents? I imagine we're not flying, what was his name? Coldstone? The creamery guy?
Yeah,
Frostblood.
Colton. Yeah, Frostblood.
The creamery guy.
So,
yeah. Captain Coldstone.
Frostblood. I imagine we're not flying his colors anymore. If I can take some time to also create some kind of like a neutral counterfeit flag that is non-denominational and just pretty neutral, but also, I guess I'll leave this question up to you. Either I already have a flag for Darkspawn, or I'll need to make a new one.
You definitely have a flag. Yeah, that's fair. You have the overstuffed backpack full of dark spawns, many things. And so, yeah, we can imagine that at the bottom of it with a little bit of mouse shit on it is, dark spawn's colors.
Yeah. All right. So I'll have that ready just in case the situation arises where we need that. But yeah, something neutral. And I'll keep in mind like the forgery that I'm doing. So this will kind of be my project. And all the downtime as we sail down there. Then the plan being, so that it's Gheddar is the one with me, right? So that my plan will be to arrange these documents, prepare them, and when we are getting close, we will stop short. I will go in at night. I will set up paperwork, and then we sail in the morning.
it sounds like you need maybe a little bit of time to prep some things. Do we give our colleagues till morning to come meet us at the ship, and then we sail in the morning, arrive in the evening?
It's 100 miles, so it'll be a few days to sail down there.
Yeah, I think it's good. How much longer it's going to take us to prep the ship? Like another half hour or something to like...
Yeah.
All right. They have half hour. I don't know. How long do you wait for shimmy bears? Sky bears.
I'll treat that as a rhetorical question. It sounds like about half an hour.
You are a wise dragon thing, eh?
Well, while you get to doing what you got to do, I will see if Frederick or Suka need any help here on the ship, getting ready for some long distance sailing.
Sounds good. And I imagine we have enough rock meat to get us there and then some.
Oh yeah, I mean, I presume you guys carved up a lot of the meat, right? The problem is nobody ever did a really great job to really scour every inch of it for all the gold it's worth. But I thought you guys took a lot of meat back, right? Food was a priority on the boat, and sandwiches are always a priority.
Yeah,
I tried to figure out.
Sorry, you tried. Yeah, I thought we knowingly didn't do that. Valerian was just I just want the meat for sandwiches.
I know, I did too, and Valerian did that, and Havoc tried, but rolled a 4 and did the best he could. That's where that went down.
Yeah, Gheddar would not have been looking towards the rock for material components of worth.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and Gimble and Berriluss walked away. Yep. And so, with that, you guys do have plenty in the hold now in terms of meat, right? And so, Frederick and Suka are up on deck with you, Gheddar, as you begin the preparations, and Bones is getting the meat downstairs, and the eggs are secured up on the deck. They've been tied down now with nets, secured pretty well. These 3 massive eggs, just 2 jammed up against the deck on the back near the stairs that lead below deck, and one of them tied down right in the middle of the deck on sort of the grates that lead down to the cargo hold. And are you going
to be selling these in Grey Pines, Havoc?
Indeed I am.
Okay.
It's a good score. Not for nothing. And so with that, the process begins for you guys to turn the ship. And it takes a little bit of an operation of which I am not intimately familiar because I don't regularly sail ships. But fortunately for you, the many pirates aboard yours are able to guide this process. And the anchor is pulled and the sails are dropped. And after about 40 minutes, an hour, while Valerian snores deeply, rocking in one of the hammocks below, and then Old Man Bones fires up the coal stove oven and starts roasting rock meat to try to like get it ready to be preserved, throwing it into barrels of salt so it will last as long as it can in the hold of this dank, musty fucking pirate ship. We slide away. We kind of following the breaking of the waves along the side of the ship. The ship like pulls out of frame, and we trace like the white cresting caps of the waves, and then kind of like pan upwards to see yet again the giant eagle for like the 5th time today flying with one Berriluss Cosmis atop it. And so you guys were heading to the north, back to the camp where the Hydra was slain. It's been just over 24 hours since you all were there, and Valerian cut it down into the ground with your assistance, as it was. And as you guys you fly for a few hours, essentially, and are able to cover the distance much faster than it took you to sail down here. And so within about 2.5, 3 hours, you're back at this island. And you could see the raised mound with the stone plinths on it where you sat with the White Bear tribe and drank their fermented goat's milk and potato vodka and ate the blubbery, salty sea lion meat with them cooking over their fire while the Hydra lay dead below. And so as this island comes into sight, you can see the Hydra has been like carved up. Really, like where that massive creature was when you left here a day ago, there's nothing. These people do not leave big piles of shit behind, right? The scales have been taken. The heads are all gone. You can see their longship still moored, anchored out off the coast, but all the flotsam and the wreckage of their smaller ships that had been cresting in the tops of the waves when the fight went down has all been recovered. There's all kinds of broken wood piled up near the fires, but the tents have been broken, and you could see commotion moving on the deck of the ship and a few rowboats making their way back and forth from the coast out to the longboat, loading up crates and bags and sacks and stacks of hides that are tied onto racks, and the White Bear tribe are in motion. And you also see from the sky one very distinct feature that was not there when you guys came through here, and that's 13 burial mounds, cairns, piles of stones, where 13 of these hunters that were killed fighting the Hydra before you guys could show up and save them have been laying for their final rest, right? But you do see Sendok on the deck of the ship, and he catches sight of you all in the sky, as both of you are visible this time, I assume.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, yeah, you can make your way down, Gimble, and like a light on the side of this longship. It's much smaller than the Widdowmaker is, but it's still a large enough ship to take a big crew of people. It's just much shorter range, right? And it has, 20 oars, 10 on each side, and one single square cut sail on a mast in the middle of it. The sail is up now, and the ship is anchored. But you land, and your weight, the whole kind of ship rocks a bit, and the men are all like steady and sure-footed. There's women amongst them, and the hunters, I should say. And so Sendok like looks to the two of you, like glancing from the eagle up to you, Berriluss, and he's like, "How did you make out then?"
I thought you said this thing was terrifying. Like we kind of danced all over it.
Haha, of course you did. And no trouble?
None at all. Oh, well, actually, I want to talk to you a little bit about that. We ran into somebody on our way back.
Did you?
Is he still on my back?
No, I get off when we.
I'll turn back into myself.
Who did you run into?
Well, we ran into an orc and her friends, and they didn't seem to really want to fight us, but they were definitely heading down towards the rock nest.
She really loves the rock, man.
She was not happy about what we had done to the rock, and she was not happy that you might have been involved.
She seemed to know you. We were really, really good though. We told her that it wasn't you, and I think she believed us.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's totally what happened. And I was just like, I'm shaking my head no while I'm saying this, and also I pat Gimble on the head.
And so, like, he glances down at you, Gimble, and then looks back, and he just kind of shrugs, like, that's Dana Stone. She's, I suppose, the leader of what's left of the Sea Lion tribe. They are not our allies. I know that they have long worshipped those birds in the sky, but their people starve and die, and they give gifts to what's essentially a flying gift to them. If they were to lay that beast low, if they would have taken any of those eggs, if they would have kept half of what they've given in sacrifice to that creature over the last century to their people, maybe they wouldn't be in such a plight. But it matters little to me if she knows that I sent you or not. They do place great reverence on the rock. Always have. They used to have a settlement there on that isle. That's the dock that was ruined. It was a great tribe once, in the days of my great-grandfather, so it is said. But they've fallen low, and while they blame their fall on White Bear tribe and the dynasties and misfortune of their lot, it's really due to their own foolishness.
Yeah, well, that's a good history lesson, but we're tired and hungry, and we also told our friends that we'd get a message to them about where to find us. And last time we were here, you said maybe some of the clan might want to become part of our crew and travel the world and have adventures with us. So I think we got a lot to talk about. Is there anywhere we can go grab a sandwich?
Well, he chuckles a little bit, and one of the men is like, "Where's Valerian, Hydra Slayer?" Ah! Like a couple of them all like shout when they say his name.
He fell off a bird and died in battle.
What? And all of them like, what? What is it?
I bet you he's just taking a nap back at the ship.
He's sleeping.
Yeah, he's he put a lot of effort out. It's probably. I would bet you that man is taking a nap right now.
You shouldn't joke about such things, small one. Valerian Hydra Slayer is hero to White Bear Bree. Valerian Hydra Slayer cannot be killed by a bird. Ah! And so Sendok like look at the two, he chuckles like, "Come," he says, "our holds are heavy with meat. We took a good hunt here before that creature showed up, and we were able to recover much of it at a price too high to pay," he says, glancing back at the stone mounds. He says, "But nonetheless, we have food and drink for you and a place to rest at least. Come." And he says, "The quarters here on the ship are not accommodating. We would be better served to find your bedding in the grass of the isle." And so he like jumps down into one of the rowboats that like one of the men is standing in the side, and the guy like climbs out of it onto the boat, like nodding at both of you. And Sendok kind of like gestures for you to get down in the boat with him.
Okay.
Oh, I pick up Gimble by like under his armpits, and I set him in the boat, and then I hop in the boat.
Thanks.
Cool. Yeah, and he takes like this wooden pole and he like pushes himself and starts pushing the ship back towards the shore where you come up, and he steps up off of it and he calls over like, "Yarda!" He says, meat for these men." And Yarda is just like, "Absolutely, sir." And he like runs over to one of the crates that's like just sitting on the edge of the island down near the water, and proceeds to like crack the top of it open, and you can see that there's like poles strapped across the top of it, and he unhooks this hook and like lifts it up out, and there's this big like kind of smoked flank of meat. Brings it over to you guys, like laying down from the container that he opened, right? And yeah, Sendak like sits down next to one of the fire pits, like gesturing at the meat. and he lays out 2 water stations for you. And he's just like, you can rest here. As far as a message to your friends, well, I mean, do you want me to send it? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, is there any way to get message back to them? I mean, I'd like to tell them that we have possible new recruits and that when I was a bird, I had a baby bird and he's going to join us, and let them know that maybe one day we'll see them again if they choose to come and join us where we killed where Valerian killed the Hydra.
He says, we will not stay here long. We need to head to the east, back to our home. He says, we just remain to meet up with you, or they're not coming back up here then with the spoils from the rock.
We'd send them a message of where to meet, because we thought maybe you had moved on, so we were going to be like a scouting party, me and Berriluss, and he was going to see into the future, and I was going to fly him around looking for you. Yeah.
I understand. Yes. All right. He like glancing around, like he sees one of like the seagulls like down at the kind of base of the rocks, like picking at a barnacle down in the water, like some kind of shelled creature, whatever it is, a mussel or a snail. And so, can you guys hear me? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes.
So
it was little.
he proceeds to like reach to this wooden sigil that he's got here hanging on a thong. It's essentially just like a sort of like a wooden post, and it has sigils carved into it, and in the carvings you can see distinctly blue and green paint individually in each of them. And he clutches it around his hand and closes his eyes, and he begins to like whisper a few words in prayer. And one of the seagulls like lifts up from down near the shore, dropping the mollusk that it had and flying over, lighting down right on his knee. And he leans down next to its head, like whispers some words.
Let him ask the bird to tell them what parts of the rock you might want them to bring with them when they come.
And he like lifts it and just like throws the bird up into the air. Like, you can send another tomorrow. You do know how to do that. Have they taught you?
No, I've never done that before. Can you teach me how to do this?
Aye, that I can, young Gimble. Take your rest, eat, fill your belly, drink, and sleep. In the morning, well, we'll see how long we can wait for your friends, but I will teach you whatever you would like me to. I owe you a debt. You've done a great service to my people.
Ah, thanks. Sure. So, where are we? Are we just gonna sleep out here under the stars?
No better place, my friend. He says the Bree live only under the stars. We've built roofs for ourselves, of course, for our children, for our families, to stay warm in the cold, long winters of Enid Wraith's terrible rain. But he says all the skies are cathedral, young Gimble, and as you see, our ships are built so that when we sail, we sleep out in the open, in the rain and storm, watch the lightning of a Rome crash across the sky. Get your rest. We will regroup in the morning. I must make sure the ship is loaded properly.
Sounds good. Hey, Berriluss, do you need anything before before we go to sleep tonight? A pillow, blanket, teddy bear.
You have a teddy bear?
I can turn into a teddy bear.
No, I'm good. We don't need a spoon.
He's really trying to get that egg thing happening before the night is over. So, okay, you guys. You guys sleep. Berriluss and Gimble, is that what you're going to do? You're going to eat and rest?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Gheddar, Havoc, Valerian. You guys are on the ship. Valerian, you're able to like get your full night's sleep, right? You wake up and it's actually like the middle of the night, right? It's like 3 o'clock in the morning because you went to bed like, at like 6 in the afternoon, old man style. And so Havoc and Gheddar, are you guys like up at 3 in the morning, or either of you up?
I wanted to say if are there books? Is there an existing kind of like little library maybe that the captain had?
The captain had like a footlocker that was ransacked pretty well by Berriluss. Berriluss, did you take all the books? I can't recall. Did you like take all of the books from the footlocker?
I didn't even know there were books in the footlocker.
Okay. There were not like a ton of books, but there was like his journal and a bunch of like personal maps and stuff. But yeah, there's definitely like his journal,
I'm going to see if I can maybe flip through. So I have these few things that I got off of the rock, and I want to like be examining them, kind of like see if I can start to learn like maybe more about rocks and see if there's any kind of references in the literature that's in this footlocker, to see if I can determine value at all.
Well, I might be able to, with some of my magical knowledge, be able to let you know if any of these are like spell components.
Oh, that's cool. Yes. And also if I could use the eye patch to see, maybe even looking back at the rock on the shore or whatever, like use that as well to see if maybe there's any inherent magic to these rock parts.
Fascinating. So as you check it out with the detect magic, there's definitely like no enchantment that lingers particularly on any of the remains of this being. But to that end, Gheddar, you can roll an Arcana check for sure. 15. Check it out, man. 100% that the ground up bones of rock can be used in potions, that the blood also could be valuable as like scrolls for the writing of scrolls as like part of an ink, or also in potions. You're well aware that the feathers also could be used for a number of different magical applications. And its eyes.
Yeah, you know what? If I'd known that's kind of you were hoping to like monetize the rock here, I might have been able to guide you better while we were still on the shore. But I don't know what you snagged from it. But if you got bones or blood, feathers, the eyes, those are commonly used by those who practice the arcane art. And you might be able to get some money for those. But I'm not sure I thought you came back with a beak. I've not heard of a beak being used. Some talons. But blood, feathers, bones. I know you didn't get the eyes.
No, but if we haven't taken off yet, then I'm going to tell the guys, like, hang on for a second. I'm going to take a boat back. I'm going to go collect eyes and blood and bones and feathers, more feathers. And also, if I have the idea, like maybe I could use some of these feathers and like making some custom crossbow bolts or something like that. I don't know.
Sure, yeah. Roll a history check, Havoc.
And just to clarify, is this happening before we go to sleep or at 3 in the morning?
Well, you're asleep, so I just presume this is
still...
like while you're sleeping. Yeah. I'm sorry that I jumped ahead like that. I didn't realize these guys had agendas, right?
I was just like confused for a moment.
Yeah, no. So 9. Interesting. Yeah, you have an idea that the claws and the beak have to be valuable, right? I mean, like they have to be, dude. They seem like significant parts of the bird, but like these things are so rare that you don't have a really good grasp of like a market value for any of this stuff, right? And so it makes it really hard to gauge. That said, like Gheddar just did give you like a couple of good jumping points. So as you now go back and you want to like harvest more from it, here's what we'll have you do. Make a survival check. And let's see how you do, as you're going to spend a couple hours. And for the sake of things, like you realize, like having worked on it once already, okay, 15, nice. Having worked on it once already, you realize one man alone with the sword is only going to do so much. This is a really big creature. So do you want to bring any of like the men back with you to help?
Yes, 2 of them, please.
Okay. So Frederick and Suka will go back. Bones is like cooking rock meat in the belly of the ship. Gheddar, I don't know if you want to go back with these guys. Valerian is sleeping below deck, but Havoc like rows back out in the late evening, right? And with Frederick, the stronger guy, and Suka, and they all bring like axes and blades with them, and a bunch of like nets and tarp and like whatever the fuck to try to like bring stuff back. They bring a couple of like empty barrels, rum barrels that were in the belly of the ship, and and so you guys start going like kind of crazy, right? You start trying to like just section this thing out. Suka is like not as strong as the rest of you, and so he's individually plucking feathers, like laying them out on this tarp, but he's like spreading out this whole area. And after about an hour or so, he like covers up this big part, and Frederick then comes in with this axe and is like chop, like chopping his way down like the middle of the breastbone, right? As like you're getting underneath it, Havoc, with the barrel, like, I will get the blood, you know. Dragon then says the blood, like, so like, yes. And so with that, like, you're gathering blood in the fucking barrels, and you're like he's carving open the thing and like digging out like chunks of bone, cutting down the length of like the legs, and like cracks off like the leg bones. You get both like the drumstick bones, which are big and hefty. They say bird bones are hollow, but these things are like taller than two of you put together, right? And so over a period of about like 4 or 5 hours that evening, you guys like carve away at this enormous archaic bird. What's your passive perception, Havoc? It's underneath the list of like your skills, right?
20.
Holy sheep shit. Yes. So Havoc, at one point, you do see movement up at the top of the cliff. And like, you don't actually like catch sight of people, but you see like movement. There's definitely like things up at the top of the cliff, higher than the rock nest, like later in the evening, as you guys are like working away on this bird.
Is my spidey sense tingling?
In what sense? It doesn't seem, no, they don't seem like there's like an ambush coming at you. In other words, like the cliff is bare and open, and you would see if anyone were descending at you. And there is this sort of old, broken, weathered, worn staircase cut into the natural stone of the cliff that circles down. And the rock's nest was like built in that kind of nook to the side, if you recall. And so you don't see anybody descending towards you, right? But it's more like you get the feeling you're being watched. It's not like ambushed, but watched by something.
So like the feeling of it's probably intelligent eyes on us, as opposed to like a deer is looking at me.
It's hard to tell if it was like an animal or people. That's the thing. It's you have no idea on
all
that
right.
level. But
I whispered,
something up there was looking down at you guys, right?
Do the stairs look deadly?
No. They look
Okay.
like big stairs, yeah.
Okay, so I whisper to the guys individually. I go, keep working and collecting the parts, load up the boat. I need to check on something. I'll be right back.
Okay.
And with that, I would like to use stealth, I guess, or
Yes.
unless I should do something else, to just kind of
Stealth.
disappear into the night up the stairs and see what I can find.
Are you using magic, or you have any kind of magic or anything like that you want to be using? This is just like a double check. I don't know if
Sure, yeah. Let me see here.
Otherwise, stealth is exactly what you want. Nope, I don't see
Ooh.
invisibility or anything.
I have greater invisibility.
Oh, you sure do. Now, the catch is greater invisibility only lasts for a minute because you can use it in combat, right? So like invisibility is like more like functional in terms of just being hidden and moving around for a long time. Greater invisibility is like, hey man, I'm invisible, but I'm still killing you.
That's awesome.
Okay. What does alter self do? Is that like animals and stuff, or?
No, alter
No.
self allows you to like change into different sex, then maybe give.
Then you can, yeah.
I could turn you into a bird.
This is tonight got a really weird theme, but anyway,
It started weird. It was all about eggs.
Our eggs are big. What
All
can we
about
say?
eggs.
yeah, I am the Eggman.
Cuckoo. Ooh, maybe dimension door. Do I have to have like a visual of where it is that I'm going, or can I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you could dimension your door yourself
You
into a
don't,
mountain.
you don't have to be using magic. I just was double checking to make sure you didn't
Sure.
have like invisibility or whatever. Like, feel free to, but I just wanted to like make sure that we're like okay. But to that end, you can make a stealth check.
Oh, which stealth check? Okay. But at the same time, since who knows what I'm heading into, I'll make sure that my magical, all the items on my little charm bracelet basically are ready to go. I've got my stuff on me. All my weapons are unlatched and ready to rock.
Absolutely. So.
Hopefully you don't have to be ready to rock.
Hey!
Super
Like a
sneak.
shadow.
You asked if there was anything magical. I think you have your answer.
He casts spell Skamos. And so, like a shadow, like a wraith, you begin making your way up these enormous stairs cut into the stone. And you realize as they're going, these are cut for proportion not of men. These are for a bigger creature than a human. They're much taller in profile, right? You have to like kind of go to each one of them as very tall step for you. But still, that as the height of the stairs slows your ascent up them, it almost makes it easier for you to hide and dip into the shadows. And the sun is just sort of like kissing the horizon, this magnificent purple and magenta and pink sort of spiraling out from the reflection of the sun going down over the like water to your west out on either side of this mountain or the plinth as it is, as you're on the eastern side of it. And so making your way up this staircase, your passive perception at 20, you see the movement again, and this time definitively you see it's a person, it's a woman in brown leathers with this like sort of sea lion skin cloak, and you could see her like looking down at the men that are like working, cutting at the rock, and you see her like glancing up and down the coast of the beach now as well, and you can get the impression, Havoc, as somebody that's done a lot of sneaking and skulking, like you realize like, oh, she probably realizes that they lost me. They're looking for me down on the beach, right? You see her like moving position to get a better angle. So as you make your way up to the top of the staircase, you're passing the rock nest now. Down beneath you to the right are the shattered remains of the rowboats and the broken bones and the sticks and the old archaic casing of eggs from years past that have hatched and long since flown or died. And now you're up onto the top of this butte, of this like mesa, right? The gray stone underfoot now marked by small kind of feebly growing brushy grass and little bits of like bushes and brambles here and there and the occasional tree along this top spot. And you can see now distinctly as you hide like down within the shadow of the topmost step, just barely glancing over the top on the like the flat spot. You see a halfling man laying flat on his belly, his nose literally on the dirt, as his eyes like peer down over past the angle of the rock's nest, looking down at Suka and Frederick below. And the woman that you saw, you can see her now like further away down the cliff, also like looking down. They definitively like do not know you're here, and you know that they don't know.
Do I get the impression that they are in cahoots, or they're aware of each other? They're not trying to hide from one another?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can see they're both in open sight. And now as you like look around a little more, you see even further past the woman, you see a half orc who's not wearing any kind of leather armor or anything like that. She's in these like rough spun breeches, and also has one of these sealskin cloaks. But yeah, well, these two actually, the halfling has a pair of swords at his belt. You can see the tips of the scabbards kind of like protruding up as he lays flat on his belly. The human woman, is carrying a heavy maul, and then you see like a half orc further down, like also looking down off the edge of the cliff.
Halfling, does he look like a warrior halfling, or he just happens to have swords with him because that's a good idea?
I mean, yes, these people look like barbarians, right? They look like the nomadic Bree people. You've seen enough of like the tribes. These look like Bree tribal people.
Okay. I have a dagger and a long sword. By a visual look, here's kind of what I would like to try and do and see if I might be able to pull it off. Can I cut the belt of the halfling so that his swords will fall to the ground, and then kind of take him? I'm imagining he's light enough for me to like hold him and hold him with a dagger to his throat so that I can find out from these other people what they're up to.
Okay, so a couple of things here. So your stealth, with that 20 roll, I'm going to let you approach the halfling without him seeing you. That part's like covered. For cutting his belt, you could do a sleight of hand check to see if you can cut his belt before he notices you. And if you succeed at the sleight of hand check, then I'll let you make an attack roll to grab him from surprise. In other words, like he still doesn't realize you're there and you can grab him. But if you fail the sleight of hand check, he's going to realize you're there, and now we're going to roll initiative, and then you can try to grab him, right?
Okay.
Is that cool? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that sounds good. All right,
Okay,
here we go.
Or you could turn around.
Hey, man. So you pop up from the top of the stair and you dash light-footed on the balls of your feet the 15 yards between the stair and the halfling laying flat on his belly, his bare feet, his toes sort of like wiggling in the dirt, sort of subconsciously behind him. Make your sleight of hand check to see if you can, like, dagger in hand. Hold on a second. Let me check his.
Am I rolling with an advantage because he's unaware I'm there?
You know what? I don't know. What do we think, chat? Should I give him advantage? I feel like I should like let the chat roll on this because I always give you guys advantage for everything, and that's a good instinct. But hold on one second here while I check this guy's thing.
Yes, in the chat, advantage.
Is that Xanatos?
That's Ataraxia.
Ataraxia
Alex
has got
no.
it. Okay, I'll give you advantage. Sure, Havoc. Sure, advantage. It's yours.
Excellent.
Gabe voted yes.
Gabe voted yes. Gabe wins the vote. 17. You like slice the belt, right? He doesn't have like a heavy leather, like well-made sword belt, right? It's his whatever, fashioned probably by his own hands, you know, like the blades are the most expensive thing on him. Okay, so now make an attack roll. Roll 1d20 plus what do we got here? What's your strength, Havoc?
Strength is 12.
Okay, so roll 1d20 plus 5.
Okay. Ugh.
12. You grab a hold of him, right? And now at this point, like he immediately knows that something's happening. So you like grab him from behind and go to pull him up, but he's slippery. He's an oily little halfling and he moves fast and he just rolls out from underneath you and now is like a couple feet over to the side of you and he like reaches for his swords quickly, but they are not there as the sword belt like lays flat, sprawled out at your feet in front of you. With that, I think we have to stop. I think we have to stop for the week. Right here. I know it's like a few minutes early, but that's such a great stopping point that I right there. And we will come back and you'll roll initiative next week.
Sounds like a plan. So everyone in the chat, thanks for joining us live. You'll be able to find all these videos in the archive on YouTube. Please check out all of our links in the channel feed on Twitch for Facebook, Twitter, all of that stuff. Follow us. I had a really fun time tonight, guys. That was a blast of a session.
Yeah, it was definitely different than anything we've done with this group, but the same as everything we've done with this group. And I realized the only two things I did was eat a sandwich and sleep.
And it was amazing, sir.
Yeah, I was glad there was some more good sandwiches this session. I was a little worried that we might not be able to keep the sandwiches going.
Man, we got
pulled it off,
sandwiches for
guys.
days now. Sandwiches for days.
Really excited about you guys like sailing around the world and introducing people to your exotic new sandwiches. I don't know what you could call them, but like rock meat, mustard, dill, pepper, and hollandaise on ship-made shit bread. And so, like, I really like can't wait until like people are like clamoring for these delightful exotic new sandwiches, and you guys are just so sick of them because you've been eating rock meat for months. Yeah, it's great.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool.
Maybe we can get like a food truck type deal going on, a food boat.
Yes.
Well, so check it out. This is what we do. We use the fame of Valerian, the Hydra Slayer, and I'll be like the mascot.
Yes.
And we set up shop. We're never going to sail, Rich. That's never happening. The whole thing is about, that's the conclusion, my friend. Yeah.
Slathered in dark spawn hollandaise.
I just see Valerian with the fucking giant green sword with sandwiches just impaled on it like kebabs. You know what I mean? Like with the different like price numbers on each side alternating. Oh my god!
Gheddar is working on the menu as we speak. The pastry area.
Anyway, you guys, 2 weeks. We'll be back May 22nd. We will return to sandwiches, rock meat, and feisty druids. And I promise you that pain will be inflicted on the player characters, for only shall I allow them 3 hours at a time without intense combat. This is my way. But I really do hope everybody had fun tonight. It's clear you guys had a lot of fun, so I hope that the viewers enjoyed it. And yeah, come check us out next Tuesday for the campaign. It should be a pretty special episode. We're going to unfortunately be saying see you later to our friend Taryn for a little while she goes to have her baby. We're sad, but really happy at the same time, so feels.
She pulled off this egg thing appropriately, I guess.
Yeah, she.
Gimble needs lessons.
Yeah, exactly.
A sympathetic thing happening. And so, yeah, May 21st, the first night of our Mage Academy, our exploration into the world of darkness and Mage the Ascension. So,
Sweet. Yeah, so see you guys next week for the campaign if you want to come back and watch. And if not, we'll see you in 2 weeks for Abrea. Take care, everybody. See you later.
Bye.